I have a planetary system. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 126. I have a sister. At noon in Binhai City, Bai Bing took Lin back to his grandparents' home, a mid-range residential area. The garden in the residential area was full of neighbors that Bai Bing was familiar with. Looking at the familiar child in front of them, the older generation of neighbors who had watched Bai Bing grow up greeted Bai Bing warmly. Some of them had lent money to Bai Bing's grandparents for emergency use a few years ago. At the beginning, grandparents planned to sell their house to pay off the debt. In addition to the relatives' dissuasion, this group of lovely neighbors also lent a hand and finally waited until Bai Bing started a business to make money before returning the money to them. For this group of elders who really regarded themselves as juniors, Bai Bing was very polite and called them one by one. The elders took Bai Bing's hands and said with a kind smile, "Bai Bing, you are back for the new year. Good. You are so cruel. You haven't come back to visit your grandparents for several years. How long do you plan to stay this time? Is this your girlfriend? She is so beautiful. What's her name? The Bai family is blessed. The grandson has a girlfriend. It seems that it won't be long before we can hold our great-grandchildren. Ha ha ha." Bai Bing answered the elders one by one, and Lin was shy to greet the elders one by one. An old man said to Bai Bing, "Your grandparents took your sister out to buy things. Do you have the key? Can you come in? If you don't have the key, come to my house and sit for a while." Bai Bing was puzzled. "My sister? When did my sister come? My aunt's daughter?" A grandmother nearby slapped the old man who had just spoken, and the old man realized that he had talked too much and stopped talking. The grandmother grabbed Bai Bing and asked, "Bai Bing, is your father coming home soon?" Bai Bing nodded, and the grandmother smiled and said, "Okay, now the Bai family is reunited. Your father is a good man, a filial man. You should be nicer to your father in the future." While Bai Bing was being chatted by a group of old people, an old man in the corner took out his mobile phone and secretly made a call and secretly said to the phone, "Old Bai, this is Lao Liang. Your grandson is back." "Which grandson?" "Bai Bing." Yes, he is back with his girlfriend, and we are taking him away now. You should take Bai Bing home quickly and be mentally prepared. You are keeping it a secret." Lin was a little confused, watching this group of old people asking about Bai Bing's family affairs, from work to life, from height to weight, from daily necessities to the prices in the Yangcheng vegetable market. Do the neighbors in Bai Bing's hometown get along like this? So enthusiastic? Not only Bai Bing was held, but also Lin was pulled by several old ladies to be questioned about the two people. The originally shy Lin gradually became less nervous when she saw this group of kind old people. Half an hour later, Bai Bing saw the elderly grandparents appear at the gate of the community, and the grandmother was walking over with a little girl in her hand. Bai Bing was so happy that she went forward to hug her grandparents, but the grandmother said a few words to the little girl next to her. The little girl looked at Bai Bing with a light in her eyes, broke free from her grandmother's hand, and rushed to Bai Bing. Bai Bing was frightened by this little girl he didn't know, and was afraid that she would fall, so he could only stand where he was and hold the girl who rushed over. "Whose little girl is this?" The little girl looked at Bai Bing happily and called out, "Brother. You are my brother, right?" Grandpa and Grandma walked to Bai Bing with a happy and worried look on their faces. Bai Bing touched the little girl's head and stood up. "Grandpa and Grandma, I'm back." He called Lin to his side and introduced her. "This is my girlfriend. Her name is Lin." Lin greeted her obediently. "Hello, Grandpa and Grandma." Grandpa and Grandma looked at Lin with satisfaction, and the wrinkles on their faces showed satisfaction. Grandma said, "My eldest grandson, didn't you say you would say hello to us before you came back? Why did you come home so suddenly?" Bai Bing laughed and said, "I wanted to give you a surprise. By the way, whose family is this little girl?" Grandpa and Grandma looked at the little girl who was looking at Bai Bing with admiration, and were silent for a while. Grandpa took the lead and said, "Her name is Bai Yating. She is your biological sister." Bai Bing. Lin looked at Bai Yating who was holding Bai Bing. "Biological sister? Bai Bing has a younger sister, but I have never heard Bai Bing mention it. The old people sitting not far away gathered together and looked over here without saying a word, with an attitude of eating melons. My biological sister? Where did I get my biological sister? Bai Bing asked hurriedly. Grandpa said, let's go home first. Don't let Xiaolin stand here. Go home and drink some water, and then talk slowly. Grandma took over. Yes, I bought a lot of dishes you like to eat. I will cook for you tonight. Is there anything Xiaolin can't eat? Bai Bing looked at her biological sister who was holding her. What the hell? How could I have a biological sister? My dad left me such a big surprise before he went in. I can't be sisterly. No mistakes in one song, one post, one content, 1619, one book, one bar. Look. After returning home, Lin took out the gift from the suitcase and handed it to her grandmother. The two old people said that they spent money, but in fact their faces were very happy. Bai Bing looked at the biological sister who was sticking to her side and was a little at a loss. When grandma made an excuse to let Lin and Bai Yating go to the kitchen to help clean up, grandpa called Bai Bing into his room and told Bai Bing the whole story. Bai Yating is indeed her half-sister. The little girl was born when Bai Bing went to college. When she was a sophomore, her father was imprisoned. At that time, her grandparents took care of Bai Yating privately and raised her up. The reason why Bai Bing was not allowed to return to her hometown for so many years was because they were afraid that Bai Bing would not be able to accept it. Even when her father was imprisoned, she used the excuse of not affecting her studies and work, and always cared about her over the phone. The reason why she wanted to go home for the new year this year was, first, because her father was about to be released from prison, and second, because such things should indeed be told to herself. As for Bai Yating's mother, she was her father's former girlfriend. Because of her father's imprisonment, she gave her biological daughter to her grandparents. At that time, her grandparents were shocked and surprised that their son had secretly given birth to a daughter outside without telling them. At that time, her grandparents transferred Bai Yating's household registration to their own name under the pressure of life, and made an agreement that Bai Yating was a member of the Bai family and would have no relationship with the mother who abandoned her daughter in the future. For a young but selfish woman, it was a rare opportunity to both save her daughter and gain freedom. She immediately defeated the Bai family, and Bai Yating officially became a member of the Bai family. For many years, grandparents have been raising their younger sister with their retirement funds under pressure. Fortunately, Bai Bing has helped pay off the debts over the years and sends money back every month to help out. The two elders also use the money sent by Bai Bing every month to give Bai Yating living expenses and tuition fees so that they don't have to live too tight. Bai Bing walked out of the living room and looked at this lively sister, feeling a little different in her heart. Am I a brother? Counting the days, my sister is 6 years old. Chapter 127. Announcement of Spring Festival Activities for Mentality. After dinner, Bai Bing cleaned up Lin's room. Bai Bing planned to let Lin sleep in her own room during this period, while she would sleep in her father's room. At night, Bai Yuan clamored to sleep with Bai Bing, and was finally taken away by her grandmother. Bai Bing didn't know how to face this half-sister for a while. Maybe it was because she was tired from running around all day, or because she was in a tense situation all day. Lin fell asleep soon after lying on Bai Bing's bed. Bai Bing looked at this beauty tenderly, gently stroked her hair, and was coaxed to sleep in a short while. Walking out of the living room, Grandpa was making tea in the living room at this time. Seeing Bai Bing coming out, he motioned Bai Bing to sit down. Bai Bing also knew that Grandpa had something to say to her. After sitting down, she added tea for Grandpa and herself and said nothing. Grandpa said, Xiao Bing, your father will be released from prison the day after tomorrow. You and I will go to pick him up then. Let your grandma, Xiaolin and your sister wait for you at home. Bai Bing, okay. Grandpa, you can drive, right? I asked your uncle Liang's family next door and borrowed a car. Bai Bing, yes. Grandpa, don't blame your father. He didn't want you to go to see him with us for all these years because he didn't want you to see him in jail. Bai Bing didn't say anything. Grandpa continued, if your grandma and I hadn't been deceived back then, your father wouldn't have committed such a crime. But fortunately, we have survived all these years and we can finally be reunited. Bai Bing patted Grandpa's back gently. It's okay, it's all over. Grandpa continued. Grandpa and Grandma are old. Your father will be almost 50 when he gets out of prison. Your sister is so young. You have to take care of him more in the future, okay? Bai Bing asked back, have you discussed what you plan to let my dad do after he gets out? Grandpa said, we have been saving the money you sent back before. That money plus your grandmother's and my pension is enough for your father to open a small shop to make a living. Bai Bing said, you don't need to use your pension. If the money is not enough, I have it. I will help my father. Grandpa shook his head. Your father doesn't even let you see him in prison. Do you think he will use your money to open a shop for him? Bai Bing was silent. His father's character is indeed very strong. Grandpa changed the subject. Your sister will go to elementary school in September this year. I seem to see you studying when you were a child. Apart from anything else, your sister's behavior and demeanor are really like you, her brother. Bai Bing smiled and said, Xiaolin and I will go out to buy some New Year's goods tomorrow. Is there anything missing at home? Grandpa didn't pretend. Buy some fruits and snacks, and you can take care of the rest. Bai Bing received a call from Huang Yiwei while she was sleeping. The other party told him that the Spring Festival event planned by Bai Bing for the company had been finalized and had been sent to Bai Bing's email, so Bai Bing should pay attention to it. The Spring Festival is one of the most important festivals in China. It is impossible for Bai Bing to have no expression in Planet. Bai helped Bai Bing to display his email address out of thin air. Bai Bing carefully looked at the planning of this event and asked Bai, what do you think of this event? Bai, you decide. After all, you are an expert in mentality. Bai Bing, you have learned to be rude now. Bai Bing has no opinion on most of the copywriting. Only a small part needs to be revised. After all, the Spring Festival is a Chinese people's own festival. All other servers can participate together, but the leading server must be the national server. As the soul value accumulates, Bai becomes more and more humane. Bai watched Bai Bing modify the copywriting for an hour. Bai knew about his host's ability to make money, but this time the way of making money really made Bai amazed. How could this guy be so shameless? Bai Bing nodded with satisfaction. Okay, that's it. You can post this announcement at 12 o'clock tonight. Bai said nothing silently. If the millions of players in the national server see this announcement tomorrow, I hope their mentality will not explode. At midnight, all 5 servers received a system announcement. Planet Spring Festival event announcement. The event time is from New Year's Eve to the 6th day of the first lunar month. Event content. 1. Open a lottery system. All server players can participate in the game lottery. Each lottery is 100 soul points, and the lottery items are 1 soul value 90%, 10,000 soul points 5%, die, can dye weapons or clothing, 3%, equipment appearance, can modify equipment or clothing appearance, 1%, exclusive skill book 0.5%, unknown 0.5%, 2. During the event, the fierce beast Nyan Beast will appear from time to time in the Jiushan Zuandu area of the national server. The Nyan Beast cannot be attacked by players. Players can buy firecrackers in the event mall to bomb the Nyan Beast. Every time the Nyan Beast is bombed, it will reduce a certain amount of blood and drop Nyan Beast scales. The Nyan Beast scales accumulate a certain amount and can be exchanged for Spring Festival fashion, soul points, advanced materials, Tiger Year mounts, etc. in the event mall 3. During the event, a certain number of time-space cracks will appear from time to time in other server regions except the national server. Players can pay 100 soul points to enter the national server Jiushan Zuandu region through the time-space cracks. Players can ask national server players for Spring Festival red envelopes in the Jiushan Zuandu region. The red envelope value is unified as 50 soul points, and the red envelope soul value is deducted from the national server player who is asked for. National server players who issue red envelopes with a value of more than 10,000 will be rewarded with double experience for 1 day, which is valid for 1 month. The event mall discount for red envelopes with a value of more than 50,000 will be 90%. The event mall discount for red envelopes with a value of more than 100,000 will be 80%. The event mall discount for red envelopes with a value of more than 150,000 will be 70%. The event mall discount for red envelopes with a value of 200,000 will be 60%. The event mall discount for red envelopes with a value of 300,000 will be 50%. And the event mall discount for red envelopes with a value of 500,000 can be exchanged for any item in the event mall. After 500,000, the reward rules will be reset 5. Each player needs to wait 10 minutes after asking for a red envelope before asking again. Each player needs to pay 5% of the red envelope value as a handling fee. 6. All server players are not allowed to attack the races that are allied with the national server. Violators will have all soul points cleared and forced to log off. No mistakes. 1 post, 1 content, 1 6, 1 9, 1 book, 1 bar. 7. All server players cannot display maps or coordinates in the Jiushan Zuandu area, cannot add other server players as friends, and need to pay an additional 5% handling fee to purchase goods with allied races in the Jiushan Zuandu area. 8. During the event, except for the national server players, other servers cannot redeem goods through the event mall, but can purchase from the national server players, and will pay an additional 5% handling fee for purchasing goods. Once this system event announcement was issued, the server players, except the national server, were very excited, but the national server players read the announcement word by word and instantly felt bad. Damn. What the hell? The dog official is targeting our national server? Exclamation mark. This spring festival event is extremely unfair to the national server, but for the event's lottery items and the event store redemption items, the national server players are reluctant to not participate. It's just messing with our mentality. Players on other servers, hahaha, this time I'm going to wipe out all the players on the national server. Damn it, after being bullied by the national server for so long, I can finally take revenge openly. So this is China's Spring Festival. It's really humane, I like it. Let alone, why can't our server participate in the national server exclusive lottery event? I can't wait to communicate with our good brothers on the national server. And the national server players, the damn official is not a human being. Are you kidding me? 50 soul points at a time. And they charge all kinds of fucking fees. What's the use of our soul points? Damn official. Come on. Tell me this is our own Chinese festival. Why are you still messing with us? I feel like this spring festival event is just our national server working for other servers. But I really want these lottery items and event items. 555. Chapter 128 Release from Prison. The next morning, Bai Bing and Lin Lin got up early, had breakfast and went out to buy New Year's goods. It was Lin Lin's first time to Binhai City, and Bai Bing decided to take her to see the place where she lived, since she was a child. This is my elementary school. When I was in elementary school, I walked to school by myself. Spring festival couplets are sold here every spring festival. This is my junior high school and high school. This is the best junior high school and high school in our city. I didn't expect that your boyfriend is a genius. We bought New Year's goods here since we were young. That aunt has been selling it for decades. When I was a child, I always secretly came to this store to eat. Their chili is delicious, but every time I went home after eating, I couldn't eat. I was always scolded by my mother. Here, Lin Lin looked at Bai Bing, who was not tired of introducing his childhood bits and pieces to her. She was very happy in her heart and held Bai Bing's hand and didn't want to let go for a moment. Bai Bing saw Lin Lin staring at him blankly, scratched Lin Lin's nose, and said with a smile, "Why are you looking at me?" Lin Lin giggled and replied, "I'm just looking, can't I look?" Bai Bing smiled embarrassedly, "Look, watch as long as you want." Lin Lin, After taking Lin Lin to see a movie, having lunch, going shopping in the mall, and buying a lot of New Year's goods, when they returned to the community, Bai Bing said to Lin Lin, "Zio Lin, my dad will be out tomorrow. Grandpa and I will pick him up. You, Grandma and sister will wait for me at home." Lin Lin nodded and asked Bai Bing, "How many years have you not seen your uncle?" 5 years. I almost forget what he looks like. Lin Lin did not speak, she could only silently accompany Bai Bing. After returning home, Bai Bing put away the New Year's goods. Bai Yuan ran over and acted like a spoiled child. Brother, where did you go today? Bai Bing was a little helpless. Brother took sister-in-law to buy New Year's goods today. Was Yuan well behaved at home today? Bai Yuan nodded. Brother will take me with him tomorrow. I want to go out with brother and sister-in-law. Bai Bing touched Bai Yuan's head. Brother and grandfather will go to pick up dad tomorrow. Yuan, grandmother and sister-in-law will wait for us at home tomorrow. Okay. Bai Yuan hesitated. Dad? Has dad returned from work? I haven't seen dad yet. Everyone present didn't know how to answer after hearing Bai Yuan's words. This poor little girl. Grandma picked up Bai Yuan. Yes, your dad will be back from work tomorrow. In the future, you can let your dad pick you up when Yating goes to school. Bai Yuan jumped for joy. That's great. Other classmates have their parents to pick them up, but Yating only has grandparents to pick her up. My classmates say that I don't have a dad. Even Lin Lin felt bad after hearing this, not to mention Bai Bing and grandparents. Grandpa didn't say a word at this time, and no one knew what he was thinking. Grandma hugged Bai Yuan silently with red eyes. Bai Bing saw Lin Lin with a red face and motioned her to coax Bai Yuan. Although it was the first time she saw this sister, it was undeniable that she did have the same blood as me. She was her own blood relative. As a brother, I had to protect my sister. During dinner, Bai Yuan sat between Bai Bing and Lin Lin. Lin Lin kept picking food for this little sister to make her happy, and Bai Bing touched her head from time to time. This little girl's heartless look was quite similar to her shameless style back then. No wonder Grandpa said that this little girl was very similar to himself when he was a child. After dinner, Bai Bing asked Grandpa and Grandma to go to bed early. They had to get up early tomorrow morning to go to the prison. Although they were all in Binhai City, the journey was still quite long. It was most important to let Grandpa and Grandma have a good rest. Lin Lin's task tonight was to accompany her sister well. Lin Lin was very happy to take this cute little girl with her. At night, Lin Lin also said that she would let Bai Yuan sleep with her so that she could tell stories to coax her. Bai Yuan also asked at that time, sister-in-law won't sleep with brother? Lin Lin's face was reddened, and her grandmother smiled and said, brother and sister-in-law haven't married yet. They can sleep together only after they get married. Bai Yuan looked at Bai Bing and Lin Lin and continued to ask, when will brother and sister-in-law get married? Bai Bing smiled and said, then you should ask sister-in-law when she married brother. Lin Lin looked at Bai Yuan's curious and expectant eyes and blurted out, when your brother marries sister-in-law, sister-in-law will marry your brother. Lin Lin's answer made grandparents laugh. The two old people were very satisfied with this prospective granddaughter-in-law in front of them. She was polite, elegant, and beautiful. They liked her, no matter how they looked at her. Bai Bing went to bed very late that night, or to be more precise, she couldn't sleep. Bai Bing hadn't had insomnia for a long time. When she thought about seeing her father whom she hadn't seen for many years tomorrow, Bai Bing didn't know how to get along with her father and what to say when they met. No mistakes. One post, one content, one book, one forum, 1619, one book, one forum, one look. I slept soundly until the next day. At 6 o'clock in the morning, my grandfather gently woke Bai Bing up. Bai Bing went into the bathroom to wash without saying anything. My grandfather went into the kitchen and took out a bag and an iron plate. When Bai Bing came out of the bathroom, my grandfather handed Bai Bing a car key. The car of Uncle Liang's son is parked downstairs. You put these things together and take them over. Bai Bing took the bag and the iron basin and asked, what is this? Grandpa said, this is pomelo leaves. When your father comes out, put the leaves in the iron basin and burn them. Let your father step over it to get rid of the bad luck on his body. Bai Bing didn't say anything. For the older generation, this kind of self-comforting behavior is an indispensable part of the family. After going downstairs and starting the car, it was still dawn. Bai Bing was thinking that, since his father had a driver's license, he should buy a car for his father so that he could use it for business. He just didn't know if his father would accept it. It took Bai Bing 2 hours to drive from home to the Binhai City Detention Center. During these 2 hours, Bai Bing and his grandfather did not say a word. His grandfather was so excited that he did not know what to say, while Bai Bing was more at a loss and full of expectations. Inside the detention center, a middle-aged man was changing his clothes. This clothes was taken off when he first came in. It was old but not damaged. The prison guard said to the middle-aged man, "Bai Feng, after you get out today, you must live a good life. You are not allowed to come in again in the future, understand?" Bai Feng packed up the things he brought when he came in and shook hands with the prison guard who spoke to him. "Liu Fang, thank you for taking care of me for so many years." Prison guard Liu Fang shook hands with Bai Feng and patted his arm vigorously. "Don't call me Liu Fang. Liu Fang. You are older than me. Thank you for cooperating with us in the past few years. Let's have a good drink when you get out in the future." Bai Feng walked to the gate of the detention center under the guidance of Liu Fang. Bai Feng looked at the big iron gate that separated him from freedom, suppressed his excited heart, took a deep breath, looked back at the place that had educated him for 5 years, and exhaled a breath of turbid air. Liu Fang smiled with relief. "Let's go. Your family is waiting for you outside." Bai Feng nodded, sorted out his clothes with both hands, and Liu Fang opened the door, and a beam of light shone in from the door. "Dad, Mom, son, daughter, I'm out." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129 Reunion. This familiar yet strange father and son looked at each other across the street. After not seeing each other for 5 years, their outlines were still the same, but their faces had aged a lot. Grandpa called Bai Bing to remind him to take his things. The two crossed the street and looked at his son who had been released from prison. Grandpa's eyes were red and he was speechless. Bai Feng was a little at a loss. "Dad, I'm out." Grandpa said okay 3 times in a row, asked Bai Bing to put the iron basin on the ground, lit the pomelo leaves, and said to Bai Feng, "Come on, step over and burn the bad luck on your body, so that you can be clean and safe in the future." Bai Bing reached out to support his father, and Bai Feng held his son tightly and strode over the brazier. Letting go of his father's hand, Bai Bing took the luggage from his father's hand and said slowly, "Dad, let's go home." Bai Feng nodded. "Go home." Lin Lin was standing behind Grandma with Bai Yuan. The 3 of them were sitting under the banyan tree next to the entrance of the community. Grandma sat motionless, staring blankly at the entrance of the community. The old people around them all said, "Mr. Bai, just relax. Your family will definitely live a good life in the future. Yes, your eldest son is out today. You and Mr. Bai will enjoy your life soon. That's for sure. I have watched Kizzy grow up since he was a child. He is a filial child." Everyone comforted Grandma Bai Bing. Bai Yuan asked Shan Zhen to Lin Lin, "Sister-in-law, what is Grandma doing?" Lin Lin smiled and touched Bai Yuan's head. "Grandma is waiting for your father to come home. Grandma misses your father." Bai Yuan turned her head and looked at the door. "That's great. I will wait here for Dad to come back too." At this time, 3 cars drove into the community at the same time, and 3 women, 2 men and 5 children got out of the cars in 2s and 3s. The oldest woman walked up to Bai Bing's grandmother, squatted down and called out, "Mom." The 5 children all ran over and pounced on Bai Bing's grandmother, calling out happily. The grandmother only smiled when she saw that all 5 of her grandchildren had come. Great, they're all here." The 5 children were playing on the side with Bai Yuan. Bai Bing pulled Lin Lin over and introduced her. "This is Xiao Bing's girlfriend. Her name is Lin Lin." Then she introduced her to the adults. "This is Bai Bing's eldest aunt. This is second aunt. This is youngest aunt. This is Bai Bing's second uncle-in-law. And this is youngest uncle-in-law. Just follow her and call them that." Lin Lin called out obediently one by one. Several people looked at their nephew's girlfriend in front of them. The eldest aunt smiled and said, "Bai Bing has a good eye. He found such a well-behaved and spiritual girlfriend." Several people praised Lin Lin. Grandma asked, "Why did you come here today?" The eldest aunt said, "Mom, our eldest brother is back today, and our families should all be here. The whole family will be reunited and happy." The second aunt continued, yes, Mom, I have booked a private room. Let's go to the big brother's house tonight. Grandma, why not eat outside? Just eat at home. Eating outside is a waste of money and the food is not as good as at home. The youngest of the 4 siblings and the most favored, said to her mother, Mom, just listen to us. We will eat at home tomorrow night on New Year's Eve. Tomorrow we will be responsible for buying vegetables and cooking. You must bring big brother tonight. We have ordered the dishes in the private room and paid the deposit. Regarding this lawless little daughter, Grandma Bai Bing said helplessly, wait for your big brother to come back and see what he thinks. If he agrees, we will go out to eat. The little aunt smiled and said, that's no problem. Big brother has loved me the most since I was a child. Grandma Bai Bing called a few sons-in-law to sit down and asked the 2 of them, don't you have to go to work today? The second uncle-in-law has a carefree personality. He said cheerfully, why should big brother go to work if he comes out today? The youngest uncle-in-law is a quiet and gentle person. Just take a day off. Everyone come over today to have fun together. While everyone was chatting, an old lady nearby received a call and immediately said to Grandma Bai Bing, Old Bay, my son saw his car coming in at the intersection. Your big son is here. Grandma Bai Bing immediately stood up and stared at the gate of the community. The 3 aunts and 2 uncles-in-law also stood up. Lin Lin called Bai Yuan and the children back. Lin Lin felt that her grandmother's hand was shaking a little and whispered to comfort her, Grandma, don't be nervous. Today is a good day. A familiar car drove into the community and stopped. Grandma saw a familiar figure getting out of the back seat and tears could no longer stop flowing down. The 2 uncles stepped forward to help carry things. They walked by Bai Feng and patted his shoulders. There was no need for men to say too much. Bai Feng walked up and gently hugged his mother. Mom, I'm back. Grandma Bai Bing, it's good that you're back. It's good that you're back. Everything will be fine in the future. Bai Feng let go of his mother and hugged his 3 younger sisters. The aunt said, brother, let's go out for dinner tonight to welcome you back. Let's have a good meal as a family. Bai Feng nodded, okay. Then he looked at Bai Yuan who was being held by Lin Lin. Lin Lin squatted down and said to Bai Yuan, Yuan, this is your dad. Go up and hug dad. Bai Yuan looked at the tall and unfamiliar father and was a little afraid to step forward for a moment. Bai Bing walked over and hugged her sister. Don't you clamor to see dad every day. Dad is back today. Call him dad. No mistake. 1 song, 1 post, 1 content, 1 book, 1 forum. Bai Yuan called softly, Dad. Bai Feng opened his arms with red eyes and hugged his daughter. Yuan, my daughter. Bai Yuan immediately said, oh, Dad, your beard pricked me. Bai Feng smiled with red eyes. Okay, Dad will shave his beard when he gets home. Looking at Lin Lin, the only person he had never seen before, he asked, are you my son's girlfriend? Lin Lin nodded obediently. Hello uncle, my name is Lin Lin. Bai Feng was very satisfied. I'm sorry for your wrong child. Lin Lin waved her hands hurriedly. Uncle, I'm not wronged. I'm not wronged. The 3 aunts called their children over. Call me uncle. From now on uncle, can bring Yating to play with you. The children all shouted, hello uncle. Bai Yuan was not to be outdone. Hello uncle. Everyone laughed. The old people around congratulated Bai Bing's grandparents. Bai Feng looked at the familiar old people in front of him, greeted them one by one and expressed his gratitude. Thank you uncles and aunts for taking care of my parents for so many years. You've been worried during the time I was away. The old people all laughed and said, that's nothing. We didn't take care of anything. Xiao Feng, don't leave after you come back. Stay with your parents more and don't be as naughty as you were when you were a child. You used to come to my house for free meals, saying that our food is delicious. Come over in a few days and I'll ask your aunt to cook a meal for you. Come on, you're the only one who thinks your wife's food is delicious. Okay, let's not disturb them. Today is the 29th day of the lunar year. Bai Feng looked at his family members around him, thinking that this year's new year will definitely be different. Chapter 130. A family. Bai Feng returned to his original room, and his mother came in with a few sets of clothes. Son, these sets of clothes are bought for you at the mall before. Don't wear your previous clothes. We will wear new clothes in the future. Bai Feng nodded and took the clothes. Thank you, Mom. Grandma said, "What are you thanking me for? If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have been arrested. It's all Mom's fault. If I hadn't." Grandpa walked in and said, "Why are you saying this? It's all in the past." Bai Feng smiled. "Yes, Mom, it's all in the past. Look, I'm fine now." Two uncles came in with big bags and small bags and said, "Brother, here are some things your three sisters bought for you, including shoes, coats, razors and so on. You can pack them up when the time comes. I've put them all in." Bai Bing took the big bags and small bags. "Give them to me, uncle." Because Grandma had cleaned the room before Bai Bing came back, Bai Feng asked, "Where will Bai Bing and Xiaolin stay tonight?" Bai Bing said, "I'll just go out and get 2 rooms. Don't worry about us." Bai Feng said, "No need to go out and get a room. You and Xiaolin can stay in my room, and I can sleep in the living room for a few days." Bai Bing had not told her family about her current job. At this time, Bai Bing was thinking about buying another unit near her hometown, so that it would be convenient to live there in the future, and this would be more than enough for Bai Bing's current savings. Bai Bing said, "No, I have arranged everything. You guys go first. Xiaolin and I will go out for a while, and we will go to the hotel by ourselves for dinner." After saying that, he called Lin Lin out. Before leaving, Bai Bing secretly asked his grandfather for his father's ID card. Grandpa thought for a while and didn't say anything, but handed the ID card to Bai Bing. After leaving, Bai Bing and Lin Lin went straight to the nearest real estate agency and asked directly if there were any existing houses near the community. There were definitely no new houses in the downtown area of Binhai City, but there were still some second-hand houses of good quality. Bai Bing chose the most ideal house and decided to buy it without asking the price. The agency staff was overjoyed. This was a rich second generation, and they immediately contacted the owner of the house. The agent brought Bai Bing and his partner to a duplex property in the neighborhood next door. Bai Bing liked it at first sight. It was a 4.5-story duplex with a shop on the first floor. The asking price was 3.5 million yuan, which was absolutely worth the money. The decoration inside alone cost millions. It was probably because the owner of the house was anxious to cash out. Probably because everyone was on holiday during the spring festival, the owner of the house arrived not long after Bai Bing visited. A middle-aged man came up and shook hands with Bai Bing. "Hello, are you here to see the house? My last name is Liu. What's your last name?" Bai Bing shook his hand. "No need to be polite. My last name is Bai, Mr. Liu. Let's get straight to the point. Your house is very nice. I've decided to buy it." Mr. Liu was a little surprised. He hadn't even started to be polite when the other party gave him such a big surprise, and he was not very old. "That's great. Let me tell you about the basic situation of my house." Bai Bing interrupted. "I don't care about the basic situation. I already knew it when I came here. Let's sign the contract directly." "Are you kidding? I still have a black and white on my chest. I know your situation well. If there are disputes or historical problems, why would I buy it?" Mr. Liu didn't expect that the other party was more anxious than him, but this was exactly what he wanted. He took out the contract and documents from his backpack. Bai Bing glanced at them and found that they were all general contracts and there was no problem. He directly signed his father's name and handed his father's copy to the other party. Mr. Liu looked at the ID card on the copy and was puzzled. "Mr. Bai, who is on this ID card?" Bai Bing explained. "This is my father. I bought it for my father. When the time comes, I will ask my father to go to the housing authority to sign. I will give you the house price today. Let's make a quick decision." Lin Lin secretly laughed at Bai Bing's vigorous and resolute actions. She finally realized that Bai Bing was afraid that her father would not accept it, so she planned to act first and report later. "Anyway, the money has been given. If you don't want it, you will lose your son's money." Bai Bing, who was usually so calm, actually resorted to dirty tricks. After finishing all this, Mr. Liu shook hands with Bai Bing and left. It was obvious that he was really in a hurry to use the money. He couldn't hide the joy on his face when he heard Bai Bing say that the loan would be issued today. The real estate agent was also very happy. After all, the agency fee was not small. He thanked Bai Bing and left. Bai Bing asked Lin Lin, "Xiaolin, what business do you think my father should do with the shop on the first floor?" Lin Lin smiled and joked, "Why don't you sell our company's cosmetics? I'll ask Sister Mingfei to give you a discount." Bai Bing smiled and said, "I think you have been brainwashed by Mingfei. You keep talking about Sister Mingfei." Lin Lin asked back, "Then what do you think is a good business?" Bai Bing looked at the house that would belong to her father in the future. "I don't know either, but it doesn't matter. I can rent it out." Although it was very vigorous to get all this done, it also took Bai Bing an afternoon. Before Bai Bing went to the hotel, he went to a mobile phone store to buy a mobile phone. When he arrived at the hotel, everyone was already seated. The three aunts asked where he went in the afternoon. He was not on time for dinner. There must be something wrong with his brain. Bai Bing put the information and mobile phone in front of her father. Bai Feng opened the information and looked at it in confusion. After a while, he put it down and stared at Bai Bing. "You bought me a house. No mistake. One song, one post, one content, 1619, one book, one bar. Take a look. Everyone present." Grandpa immediately took the information and put on his glasses to check it. After hearing it, the three aunts stood up and walked behind Grandpa. Bai Bing said, "That house is really good. There is a shop on the first floor. Dad, you can do some business yourself or rent it to others. The most important thing is that it is close to Grandpa and Grandma's community, which is very convenient." The second aunt muttered after reading it, "Good guy, Xiaobing, you are promising now. You bought a house worth more than 3 million yuan, just like you said you would." The youngest aunt widened her eyes. "Xiaobing, where did you get so much money?" The people present also looked at Bai Bing. Bai Bing said, "I opened a company with my classmates in Yangcheng. Don't you all know it?" The younger sister-in-law said, "We thought you were just making a fuss. What does your company do? How much money does it make?" Bai Bing, "Let's talk about this later. Let's eat first." Bai Feng, "I don't want it. You can return it." Bai Bing had expected her father to do this. "I can't return it. The mortgage is cleared. Anyway, I have paid all the money. After the holiday, when they go back to work, you can go to the housing authority to sign. If you don't want it, it will be more than 3 million yuan wasted." Bai Bing's grandfather, "So you asked me for your father's ID card at noon because you were going to buy a house. I thought you were going to buy a mobile phone." Bai Bing, "If you want to buy a mobile phone, the house will not be delayed. There is no conflict." Bai Feng was both angry and relieved at this time. He was angry that he, as a father, actually asked his son to buy a house for him. He was relieved that his son took him seriously and cared about him. Everyone knew that Bai Feng was the protagonist tonight, so they suppressed their curiosity about Bai Bing. The two uncles toasted Bai Feng frequently, and the three aunts also talked about every little thing about their eldest brother when they were young. The happiest person on the scene was undoubtedly Grandma Bai Bing. Seeing her sons, daughters, sons-in-law, grandchildren, and grandchildren all reunited, what could be more important than this? Bai Bing and Lin Lin were eating silently at this time. What they were thinking in their hearts was whether they really wanted to get a room tonight. Should they really get 2 rooms? Or just get 1 room? Chapter 131 The Chinese server player who gave up allegiance. Tonight, his father was toasted by his 2 uncles in turn. His father, who used to drink a lot of wine, was now drunk by a bottle of liquor. The drinking capacity he had cultivated for many years was returned to the party in one day. When Bai Feng returned home, he was already unconscious. The smiles on the faces of his 2 uncles were very proud. It was considered revenge for being bullied in the past. Bai Bing and Lin Lin finally opened a room. However, under Lin Lin's threatening gaze and the service of the front desk who was trying not to laugh, Bai Bing was very honest and opened a double room with 2 beds. During dinner, Bai Bing and his grandfather also drank a lot of wine. As a father and son, seeing Bai Feng regain his life, although he didn't show it on his face, he was still very happy in his heart. After Bai Bing went up to the room and washed up, he lay on the bed and immediately felt a deep sleepiness. The heaviness of his eyes followed, and he fell asleep soon. When Lin Lin was taking a shower, she was still afraid that Bai Bing would behave like an animal. She was thinking about whether she should obey him or not if Bai Bing suddenly attacked her. After waiting for a long time, she came out and saw that this guy was already lying motionless. Speechless and relieved, she squatted beside Bai Bing's bed, touched Bai Bing's hair and cheeks, and said to herself with a smile, "If you can't drink, don't drink so much. You are such a fool." The next day, when Bai Bing was still there, a large number of national server players logged into the game with a heavy heart. For national server players, it was the first time that they felt that playing the game Planet was so difficult to choose. If they went online, they were afraid of being cheated. If they didn't go online, they were afraid of missing out on the event products. This alpaca mode will last for 7 days starting today. Very good at dealing with mentality. I will remember you, you dog official. At this time, the national server players were like thieves, going wherever there were fewer people. If they stayed in the main city, they would be robbed by the dogs from other servers. The extremely cold region in the north has always been visited by very few players. Apart from a few ice-attributed materials, there are no other races that are hostile to the human race. Wild creatures are almost hunted by the descendants of the Azure Dragon and the Snowman tribe, and players will not compete with them for business. However, today, the descendants of the Azure Dragon suddenly found that a large number of humans were teleported to their camp. After greeting them, they ran away without saying a word, leaving the descendants confused and at a loss. At the junction of the weathered continent and the extremely cold region, the Xingpeng tribe sent a considerable number of tribesmen to guard it, fearing a sudden attack from Fukai and the human race. The Xingpeng tribe already knew the approximate location of the human race, but they were separated by an extremely cold region, and were afraid of the cold, so the Xingpeng tribe had no way to pass through. As usual, the Xingpeng tribe members who were guarding the border today were perched on the trees. Suddenly, they felt many strange breaths coming. The Xingpeng tribe members who were guarding the border looked forward vigilantly. The human race sneaked into Fenghua continent from various locations. Seeing the scattered but large number of human races, the Xingpeng tribe members did not dare to act rashly and immediately flew back to the tribe to report the situation. Seeing the Xingpeng tribe staring at them in the trees, as an enemy they had fought before, the players no longer cared about these guys. With the current size and strength of the national server, they will find time after the spring festival and beat you up as much as they want. Not only the extremely cold area in Fenghua continent, but also the 100,000 mountains to the east of Jiushanzuandu and the 18 layers of hell dungeon location to the west. A large number of players have entered one after another. The 18 layers of hell to the west has always been a place for first turn players and early second turn players to upgrade. Although there are many people at ordinary times, it is the first time that a natural disaster like today has entered. The 10 kings of hell, who were cultivating merit in hell, suddenly sensed the actions of the human race and appeared in different locations to silently watch what these psychopaths were doing. In the 10,000 mountains in the east, in addition to establishing diplomatic relations with the original Shitten tribe, many overlord level bosses were also defeated by the players. Among them, the four-winged green snake was the most representative. He knew that the human race was a group of perverts and could not be provoked. Now he even dared not touch the Shitten tribe that was on good terms with the human race. Without natural enemies, the Shitten tribe grew rapidly and swept the areas around their own tribe. If they could beat them, they would beat them down and then take them under their command and then trade their race's specialties with the human race. If they couldn't beat them, they would ask the overlords who were beaten by the players to surrender. The overlords were angry, but dared not speak, so they could only help with gritted teeth. However, the overlords got used to it later, because after helping, the Shitten people would give them the items or food that were beneficial to the overlords and obtained from the human race's foreign wars as rewards. Gradually, the overlords did not reject the Shitten people and the human race as a group of rogues. Today, the Shitten people and the overlords saw that the human race was like a frightened fledgling, hiding in the caves of various races in the territories of the overlords, not saying a word, and not letting themselves make any sound. What are you doing? The human race, who has always been fearless and likes to die, is hiding? What else makes you feel scared? Exclamation mark. I've seen it for a long time. Compared with this group of landlubber players on land, there are another part of players in the national server who chose to go to sea. Just kidding. Our national server has a ship feature. I'm going to sea now. Let's see what those bastards on other servers can do to me. I'm fishing in the sea. What can you do to me? If you have the guts, go buy a boat in our national server. Come on, chase me. If you catch me, I'll let you head he. However, after this group of players told this method in the World Channel and the Gang Channel, a large group of players complained about them. You idiot. How can you get the Lion Beast in the sea? How can you exchange the event items if you can't get the Lion Beast? I didn't expect that there is such a smart guy in our gang. Just stay in the sea and fish for 7 days. I treat you as my son. Why do you treat me as a mentally retarded person? Boss, I request to kick this idiot out of the gang. This idiot will lower the IQ of the gang. The smart guys who suddenly realized the truth boarded the various islands in the sea with bitter faces. The official information said that the Lion Beast would also randomly refresh on the islands explored by the players. I don't believe that the players on other servers can find me without a boat. However, this group of smart people forgot that players from other servers can still be teleported to various islands through the teleportation array in the main city of Jiushan Zuandu. The purpose of the national server players at this time is only one, that is, to find an empty corner, to ambush the Lion Beast. If they are lucky, they can set off firecrackers to mess with it. If they are unlucky, they can draw a lottery. Except for the 90% chance of 1 soul value, anything else they draw is a profit. In addition to this group of poor people, there is also a small group of rich people in Jiushan Zuandu. Their purpose is very clear, that is, to send red envelopes to get discounts. They send red envelopes while bombing the Lion Beast to get scales. In addition to the mandatory minimum 50 soul value red envelopes, players can also add any soul value as red envelopes. The official dog rarely launches event products, but it is hard to come by. The national server players are submissive, and the other servers are already lonely at this time. After being suppressed by the national server for so long, they finally have the opportunity to mess with them legitimately. I won't strike hard. As the event time got closer, all players heard a ding sound, and the event began. Countless cracks appeared in various locations in the Jiushan Zuandu area and nearby areas. The hide and seek game began. Chapter 132 Spring Festival Event 1. With the start of the event, a chat window of the event channel has been added to the chat channels of all servers. Sending messages on the event channel requires 10 soul points. European server, sons of the Chinese server. Are you hiding well? Daddy is coming. Chinese server, fuck, don't be so arrogant. Come find daddy if you dare. Daddy is waiting for you. Japanese server, damn, the supporting facilities here in the Chinese server are too complete. Chinese server, your Japanese server has just been opened. There is not even a first level player. What supporting facilities do you need? Korean server, why is the main city of the Chinese server so big? The main city of our Korean server should be the largest. I don't accept it. Japanese server, you should go back to your Korean server and eat kimchi. Southeast Asian server, our Southeast Asian server is finally on holiday today. I'm so touched. Chinese server, brother, why are you so emotional? European server, you don't understand. The Southeast Asian server can be said to be a hell server. As soon as the server is opened, various hostile races are found near the main city. They fight indiscriminately 24 hours a day. If it weren't for the event on your Chinese server today, I guess these guys would still be killing people in their own server. All other servers. The main city of Jiuxiangseondu and the national server is already the largest main city of the human race in the entire planet. However, facing the arrival of players from other servers, it is not enough to support such a large group of players. Players from other servers immediately start to rob money after entering the main city of Jiuxiangseondu. Whenever they meet a national server player, they will ask for red envelopes. There are only 7 days to get rich, so they have to race against time. The national server players in the main city are almost all rich people. When facing other players who come forward to encircle and suppress them, they will not refuse anyone. The red envelopes are issued every 10 minutes, which makes the players of other servers with tens of millions of players hate it. There are too many monks and too little porridge. Players from other servers in the main city are attacking in all directions, and many smart players go directly to the teleportation array to choose those unfamiliar locations. There is no map display and no coordinate data. This new strange, and exciting exploration game makes these players feel extremely fresh, as the vital force, to catch up with the Chinese server. The European server, to be honest, does not think too highly of the amount of 50 soul points. If it is convenient, then ask for it. If it is not convenient, then it does not matter. The main purpose of their coming here at this time is to mess with the mentality of the Chinese server players and to see if they can find any bargains in the exchange in the Chinese server. Less than 5 minutes after the event started, a small amount of dyes and clothing appearances have been put on the exchange. This kind of thing is dispensable for Chinese server players. Unless players who particularly like the appearance will collect it, the rest will almost choose to sell it. There is no other reason. It is entirely because the high-end players of the Chinese server have almost all upgraded to the 3rd level. It is better to sell it now, to pay back the money than to wait until the 3rd level, to dye or change the appearance. The soul points required to purchase skills in Planet are completely sky high. Players have already felt a beating in the 2nd level. Now there are suckers from other servers coming, and they will make a lot of soul points from them. At this time, some national players were playing hide and seek in various corners of various regions, not daring to make any sound for fear of causing a disturbance. They covered their mouths while drawing lots for 100 souls. Screw your sister's red envelopes, I won't serve you anymore. Half an hour after the event started, countless roars appeared in various corners of the national server's explode maps. Nyan beasts randomly refreshed and appeared. National players took out the firecrackers they bought and threw them at the Nyan beasts mindlessly. The sound of firecrackers rang out in various locations in the national server, and the noise was not small. Countless creditors who were looking for national players smiled evilly after hearing the noise. The takeaway is here. Please accept it, son. National players didn't expect the noise of the firecrackers to be so loud. Some nervous players hadn't reacted yet and were surrounded by creditors who appeared from all directions. Looking at this group of hateful guys, the insulted national players shed tears of regret. Players on other servers now know that they don't need to make a big fuss to actively look for players on the Chinese server. As long as they teleport to any location and move in any direction, they will hear the sound of firecrackers. As long as they follow the location of the sound of firecrackers, they will definitely find these rats. Chinese server, you damned official, tell me why the sound of firecrackers is louder than cannons. Right. Give me a perfect explanation. Japanese server, in just half an hour, I have earned 1000 soul points, 50 twice and 900 once. I have to say that Chinese players are really rich. Southeast Asian server, I just stand near the main city of Jiushanzuandu and find an iron beast to wait. There will always be Chinese tycoons coming to play with firecrackers. I don't even have to ask for it. He will come to give me a red envelope. It's so cool. Korean server, why can't we Korean servers buy firecrackers to bomb the Nyan beast? Chinese server, because the Nyan beast doesn't like to eat kimchi. European server, I just like to look in the corners. It's so cool to see the stunned and desperate Chinese players, hahaha. Chinese server, you will be struck by lightning. Later, Chinese players learn to be smart. Since continuous output is not possible, I will fight a guerrilla war with you. Chinese players who see the Nyan beast will no longer stand and fight directly. They will throw a string of firecrackers and pick up scales and then run away. You will never find your father. I will make sure that you, the sons of foreign servers, cannot see the taillights of your father's car. No mistake. One song, one post, one content, 1619, one book, one bar. The players of the national server informed each other of this decision in their own time channel. The players of foreign servers strongly condemned the unethical behavior of the national server and discussed tactics with each other in the activity channel. Some formed teams, some lured the snake out of its hole, some waited for the rabbit by the tree, some forced the bow, and some asked for resources. There was nothing strange. However, this strategy of the national server was an open conspiracy. Once it was used, only a very few unlucky national server players were caught. However, Bai Bing had already done calculations with Bai before, and countless solutions were generated at that time. The activity lasted until noon. The Nyan beast, which was originally docile and would not resist, suddenly became irritable and began to attack the national server players who threw firecrackers at it. The surprised national server players were confused when they saw the Lion Beast suddenly attacking. What the hell? Why did you resist? I pulled the boss of the Lion Beast. Does the Lion Beast also have a boss? Exclamation mark. The Lion Beast slapped the stunned Chinese players and sent them back collectively. There was no need for a resurrection cooldown or soul transfer. They were given a free return package. Are you happy? The plan discussed by Bai Bing and Bai was to set that after half a day, the Lion Beast, which originally would not attack, would activate hatred, and the attack method would not be a damage attack, but a teleportation attack. Because there was no damage to death, the players would not go offline, and the destination of the teleportation was the Jiushan Zuandu and the Chinese server. Surprised? The foreign players in the main city saw the sudden appearance of the Chinese players, and both players were stunned. Chinese server, why are there still so many of you in our main city? Aren't you all going out? Question mark. Foreign server, huh? Is the takeaway here? The Chinese characteristic community is sending warmth. Jiushan Zuandu was immediately in an uproar. What the hell is wrong? Why would you be teleported back to the main city if you are attacked by the Lion Beast? You damn dog official, I can't stand with you. Chapter 133 Spring Festival Event 2. Liang Dang is a professional player of Akala in the national server, who is at the top of the ranking but not well known. His ID name is handsome to the point of dropping dregs. The reason why he is at the top of the ranking is because of his excellent skills, and the reason why he is not well known is that he only has excellent skills, and the rest of the aspects are very ordinary. There is no other reason. He is poor. Liang Dang's honorary suit was completely made by himself, and his favorite activities are team building and battles, because these two methods have nurses and he doesn't have to spend money on drugs. In order to prevent the bandits from foreign servers from finding him to ask for red envelopes, Liang Dang chose the most desperate method. He ran to an area near the extremely cold area that has not been explored by players. For maps that have not been fully explored, activities will not refresh the Lion Beast and teleportation points, and naturally no players will come. I'm really smart, hahaha. At this time, Liang Dang adhered to the idea of not leaving empty-handed when he was poor. Since he came here, he couldn't go back empty-handed. He identified flowers, plants and wild fruits near the bushes everywhere, and put them into his backpack, as long as they could be sold. Observing the surrounding environment along the way, the remains of different wild creatures occasionally appeared on the ground, and there were some obvious group footprints. It seems that there are unknown races in this area. Liang Dang is not afraid of unknown races, but is happy. If the other party is a bloodthirsty race, he will be killed at most, but if it is a race that can communicate, as long as he convinces the other party to form an alliance with the human race, then he will be the first person to eat crabs, and getting rich is just around the corner. At this time, Liang Dang, who was exploring, did not know that many black shadows appeared above his head and were following him. The black shadows looked at Liang Dang, who was carefree, and all made a hissing sound. Just as Liang Dang was exploring, one of the black shadows on the tree took the lead in rushing towards Liang Dang, and a dull blow caused Liang Dang to lose 1/5 of his blood. Liang Dang, who was in pain, drew his weapon calmly and turned around to be alert, and then saw more than a dozen unique and ferocious creatures above his head, and was stunned for a moment. They are in groups. They must be creatures of a certain race, and they look so ugly, with fresh blood still on the corners of their mouths. Very good. No need to think about forming an alliance. What the hell? Just being able to communicate is good enough. Identify this group of ugly creatures with black hair, ape bodies and horse faces through the official website. The official data shows mandrills, a race of higher creatures, cruel in character, eat raw meat, and like to eat young creatures the most. There is some simple information about the mandrills below the information, and the content is almost all about the bad behavior of the mandrills, killing young creatures, and ruthlessly killing creatures to death, even if they are full. Liang Dang's face was dark. There were 2 higher creatures and more than 10 tribesmen. This race was a bit tricky. There were 2 higher creatures in a team alone. There must be gods in the tribe, and there might be more than one. I can't beat them, and I can't run away. I'll just wait to die. Compared to Liang Dang's experience, Zhao Mu's method is undoubtedly much simpler. as the ceiling of the human race's combat power and the prospective son-in-law of the Kra tribe. Zhao Mu is now sitting on the ground with the boudoir of the Kra tribe's Yu. Zhao Mu bought a large number of firecrackers from the activity store and gave them to Yu. Yu distributed these firecrackers to the members of the Kra tribe and asked them to blow up the Nine Beast and bring back the collected scales of the Nine Beast. Not only the members of the Kra tribe, but all the allied races explored by the national server were very vigilant when they first saw the Nine Beast. Later, they found that these guys would not actively attack. After wandering around, they got news from the human race that these guys don't need to be paid attention to. Even if they are attacked, they don't need to be afraid. They will only teleport you to the main city of the human race. The members of the Kra tribe were still timid at first. After blowing up the Nine Beast and picking up the scales, they were slapped to Jiushan Zuandu and found that it was real, and it was quite cool. They were instantly addicted and looked for the Nine Beast all over the world to experience the pleasure. The Chinese server players were so angry when they saw the Kra people holding a few scales in their hands. Needless to say, it must be that old monk, the gigolo, who actually used the Kra people to seek personal gain. Fucking abuse of power. Scum. European server. Why did I see allied race creatures holding event scales on the road? Japanese server. Can the allied races of the Chinese server also participate in the event? Korean server. It's not fair. Race creatures can participate. Why can't we? Southeast Asian server. You want to participate? Do you have the money to participate? Do you have a red envelope? Chinese server. They can pack kimchi. Japanese server. We can participate too. We have money. Southeast Asian server. You pack 50 yen. European server. Is there no one who can explain why allied creatures can also blow up the Nine Beast? The Chinese server players were silent at this time. Are you kidding me? I would tell you. Go ask it yourself. Stupid. It's better to find the Gigolo King and disgust him for me. As the eldest daughter of the Liang group, Liang Ting has changed her game since the opening of the special exchange 3 times a week. She has only one goal, to exchange all the spring festival costumes and Year of the Tiger mounts in the event mall. As the commander of the national server, the leader of the first gang in the national server, the cabinet, she can't even get the event costumes and the Year of the Tiger mount. It's very shameful. Okay. Liang Ting is now waiting in the exchange to buy scales sold by players. Every 10 minutes, she gives out red envelopes to everyone she meets. I want to be the first player to exchange costumes and mounts. Many foreign players who have watched the national server live broadcast know that the person in front of them is the commander of the national server. One by one, they walked up to Liang Ting to take screenshots. Liang Ting ignored these foreigners who had never seen the world, as long as they didn't bother me. As the commander of the European server, BG William walked over to Liang Ting and sat down. What a coincidence, I can meet you here. Liang Ting also greeted him after seeing that the person coming was the commander of the European server. It's you. Why are you here? Aren't you going to participate in the event? BG William shook his head. I'm too tired. I'd better just stroll around in the main city. It's a pity that I can't add foreign server friends for this event. Otherwise we can communicate frequently. No mistakes. One song, one post, one content, 1619, one book, one bar. Liang Ting asked, is there anything you need? If so, I can ask someone to put it on the shelf and you can buy it in the exchange. BG William shook his head and Liang Ting continued to ask, you should pay attention in the European server. If you find a god named Mingjia invading, please be sure to help us kill him in the national server. BG William obviously knew what happened in the national server recently and nodded. Don't worry. Liang Ting also let BG William sit next to her and chat. It was quite boring to guard the exchange here, and it was nice to have someone to chat with. The 10 Hellkings were speechless in hell, feeling the misbehavior of the human race in the nearby areas. What kind of activities did the black and white immortals come up with? The Nyan Beast is a nightmare level beast of the human race. Under normal circumstances, the human race would run away when encountering the Nyan Beast. Now they are being bullied by the human race. Are they playing so hard? Lan Zifeng is also a well-known player in the national server. He is a representative of the few rich second generation players who have skills. At this time, he has the same idea as Liang Ting. and wants to exchange for the Spring Festival costumes in the Year of the Tiger Mount. However, unlike Liang Ting, he chose to enjoy the activities and went everywhere to find the Nine Beast to bomb. In the area of the 18 layers of hell in the west, the Nine Beast was bombed everywhere. He was flexible and ran after picking up the scales after bombing. As long as he didn't let the Nine Beast attack him, he would give out red envelopes when he met foreign players. He didn't shy away from it. The 10 Hell Kings felt that Lan Zifeng, a human race, was gradually approaching the western border of the underworld area, and was a little silent. When Lan Zifeng stepped out of the underworld area, the 10 Hell Kings finally couldn't help but speak. King Pingdeng, aren't you going to stop him? King Zuanlan, it doesn't matter. People nowadays are not afraid of death. King Yama, the breath coming from over there is no joke. King Chujiang, even we can't sense the source of the breath, so let him explore it. Chapter 134 Spring Festival Event 3. On the first day of the Spring Festival event, Jiushan Zuandu and the surrounding areas were filled with the obscene roars of foreign servers and the screams of national servers. Even when participating in battles, the national servers were not so tragic. However, this inhuman activity set up by Bai Bing tortured the national server players. However, most of the national server players just enjoyed the process of this Spring Festival event. In fact, they didn't care. After all, a red envelope only had 50 soul points. Only 3 newly added servers were flocking to it. For the national and European servers, 50 soul points were not too important. However, the event is dead and the people are alive. Bai Bing couldn't let the national server players be too comfortable in the annual Spring Festival event. On the second day, Bai Bing added a new activity rule. The content is, during the 7 days of the Spring Festival event, the soul value in the national server red envelope will be compulsorily increased by 50 every day. As soon as this rule came out, all the Chinese players were upset. Originally, 50 souls were added every 10 minutes, which was only 7,200 souls a day. Chinese players could still accept it. Now, 50 souls are added every day, and the next day is 14,400 souls. When it comes to 350 souls every 10 minutes on the 7th day, won't it be more than 50,000 souls a day? Are you kidding me? The European players who originally disdained 50 souls suddenly had their eyes lit up, and the 3 newly added servers laughed like dogs. Originally, we were poor when we just opened the server, and now the Chinese server Spring Festival event is completely a welfare for us to pick up for free. Compared with the other 4 servers, Chinese players now have no reason to insult the official, because in addition to adding this disgusting Chinese rule, Bai Bing also gave a rule that the scales dropped by the Nine Beast will increase relatively every day. You see, I'm not just messing with you, I still love you. As the saying goes, wealth and honor are sought in danger. If you drop a few more scales, you can also put them on the exchange. If you don't want them, there are many people who want them, or you can save them to exchange for goods and sell them to foreign servers. Bai Bing felt so happy at this moment. You guys are so happy to scold me. Now I should take revenge openly. After 5 PM, the first day of the Spring Festival activities were suspended. The reason why the first day ended so early was that Bai Bing considered that it was a tradition in China to eat New Year's Eve dinner on New Year's Eve. From the 1st to the 6th day of the new year, a new round of malaise will start at 8 AM and end at 8 PM. At 5 PM, except for the players on the national server, the players on the other servers were collectively forced to return by the system. The next day, Bai Bing could earn 100 yuan from each of them for the transfer fee. Bai Bing and Lin Lin returned to their grandparents' house at noon. The 3 aunts were already helping in the kitchen. Bai Yuan and several cousins were running around the house. Bai Bing smiled and hugged them one by one, and Lin Lin took out a stack of red envelopes and distributed them to the children one by one. The sound of "thank you sister-in-law" completely made Lin Lin lose herself. After Bai Bing sat down, Bai Feng put a glass of water in front of him and asked with a little embarrassment, "How is work?" "Bai Bing, it's going well." Before Bai Bing could finish his words, his phone rang. When he saw that it was Huang Yue's call, Bai Bing immediately had a bad feeling. After answering the call, he immediately put the phone away from his ear. Sure enough, a loud roar came from the other end of the phone. "Bai Bing, what the hell are you doing?" Could you have informed me in advance about the changes to the Spring Festival activities? Now on New Year's Eve, the entire company's customer service phone has been blown up by players. Did you know that? Bai Bing put the phone on the table and drank water without paying attention. The roar continued to come from the phone. Bai Feng was a little curious. Bai Bing explained, "He is a partner of my company, don't worry about him." After 2 minutes, there was no sound from the phone. Bai Bing picked up the phone and said, "I know, next time I will inform you in advance, be good and don't make trouble." Huang Yewei, today on New Year's Eve, you don't even have a good New Year, you are poisonous. Bai Bing and Huang Yewei chatted for a while and the other party said, "I received inside information today. The commercial building you agreed with Gu Yiming before has been completed. You can communicate with him after the Chinese New Year. Our company's office space is under too much pressure." Bai Bing, "I know. I will have a meal with him alone after the Chinese New Year." Huang Yewei, "Okay, happy Chinese New Year, and do some personnel work in the future." Bai Bing, "Go away." Huang Yewei, "Okay." The aunt came out of the kitchen at this time and heard the content of Bai Bing's phone call. She asked about the business and scale of Bai Bing's company. The other elders looked at Bai Bing and waited for his answer. Bai Bing pondered for a while and said, "It's the same as before, just making games, but our games are free, so the player volume is not bad. It can still make a profit for the time being, but it's hard to say in the future." Bai Feng was very pleased with his son's achievement, but as a father, he still considered his son's health. He told Bai Bing not to be too tired and pay attention to rest. After that, he didn't say much. After not seeing each other for many years, the father and son still had some estrangement. At dinner, Bai Feng and Bai Bing were drunk by their two uncles again, and this time it was even worse. Bai Bing didn't even have the energy to wash up when he returned to the hotel, and he fell down again. Lin Lin was a little speechless looking at such a familiar scene. Did the two uncles have a grudge against Bai Bing and his son? They couldn't even watch the Spring Festival Gala on New Year's Eve, and Lin Lin was planning to go out with Bai Bing to set off fireworks. The first day of the New Year's Eve was wasted like this. Bah, scumbag. At 8 o'clock the next morning, the Spring Festival event started. The rules of the event started at 8 o'clock, and at 8:30, the cracks and the Iron Beast refreshed. The national server players also had half an hour to discuss and implement strategies. The national server players immediately changed from the original guerrilla warfare tactics to group warfare, using the 24-man formation of the army to bombard the Iron Beast and knock it down, and then split the scales and ran away. No mistakes. 1 song, 1 post, 1 content, 1 6, 1 9, 1 book, 1 bar. Take a look. Otherwise, if you bomb twice and get slapped by the Iron Beast, you will have to go back to give out red envelopes, and the gain will outweigh the loss. As long as an Iron Beast is guaranteed to be killed, it is acceptable to randomly sacrifice 1 or 2 teammates in the army. As for which lucky person gets slapped, it is up to fate. National server, damn, an event has been turned into a horror game. Those idiots who exchanged for Spring Festival costumes and mounts on the first day yesterday must be regretting it. What are you going to do in the future? Don't forget that people upstairs can continue to exchange and put them on the exchange. Poverty limits your imagination. I just want to know, isn't the Spring Festival an event for our China? Why do I feel that this event is so torturous for our national server? Stop talking, the cracks are about to refresh. Hide quickly, brothers. At 8:30 in the morning, the cracks and the Iron Beast refreshed on time, and countless cracks and Iron Beasts appeared in Jiushan Zuandu and the surrounding areas at the same time. The Iron Beast is the same as yesterday, and the cracks are the same as yesterday, but what is different is that today's 4 foreign server players are walking with confident steps and proud looks. Even the European server players who disdained the red envelopes yesterday now have bright eyes. The second day of the Spring Festival hide and seek event begins. Tremble, Sons of the Chinese Server. Chapter 135 Spring Festival Event 4. Wei King is a well-known holy healing professional player in the national server. Her ID name is Sunny Day Raining. She is famous because she starts live streaming almost every time she logs into the game. She also has an impressive figure and an angelic face. Today, as usual, Wei King logged into the game, turned on the live streaming, and continued to play hide and seek alone. Oh, the goddess Sunny is still so beautiful today. Every time I see the goddess Sunny, I want to compete with the police uncle. It's his sin. Teaming upstairs. Wendy King didn't care when she saw that the number of viewers in the live broadcast room was much less than before. During the Spring Festival event, players were busy playing hide and seek. At this time, all the people watching her live broadcast were old fans. Wei King was looking for the lion beast in the wild, while avoiding the attacks of foreign players. Although the audience in the live broadcast room often gave her awards, this kind of overlapping red envelopes was really a bit unbearable. Dear audience, we saw obvious footsteps of players on the ground here. We don't know whether the one in front is a domestic player or a foreign player. To be safe, I decided to change the road. I hope that today will be safe, Wei King said to herself while moving forward carefully. Goddess Sunny is so beautiful and so smart. I love her. If I were a foreign player, I would be embarrassed to ask for red envelopes when I saw Goddess Sunny. I only care about whether Goddess Sunny has a boyfriend. Wei King watched the messages in the live broadcast room and interacted with the audience and did not notice that a small black shadow was jumping on the tree in front of her. When Wei King came to her senses, the small black shadow had already pounced on Wei King. Wei King was startled and quickly raised her weapon to resist. However, the small black shadow did not launch an attack, but just landed on Wei King's shoulder and made a kai kai sound. Wei King looked at the familiar young dragon chicken in front of her. This is the pet of our national server Sword Star God. It seems that Sword Star God is nearby. Chicken is a pet loved by all the people in the national server. This cute, noble, and most importantly, a pet that can eat a lot has been listed in the top 10 most popular creatures on the official website forum. Yi Jian also jumped down from the tree at this time and saw Wei King, who was in front of him with a peerless face. He picked up the chicken and taught it to her without any emotion. You there, I told you not to scream, otherwise you will attract those beasts from the foreign servers, and the red envelope will be deducted from your food. Wei King was relieved to see that it was one of her own. Wei King, who was planning to hug the chicken, was reluctant to see Yi Jian rudely take the chicken away. Wei King asked politely, Master Jiangxing, what are you doing here? Yi Jian looked at Wei King. There is a player from the Southeast Asian server in front. You should leave quickly. Wei King smiled charmingly and said, meeting is fate. Let's go together. Although Wei King is very beautiful, she doesn't know any of the masters in the Chinese server of Planet. Now that she has met a master on the level list, she must make friends with him so that she can ask for help when doing tasks or forming a team next time. Yi Jian seemed hesitant when he heard Wei King's words. Should he bring this burden with him? The audience couldn't bear it. What do you mean? Our goddess Kingshan invited you, and you still have to consider it? What do you know? Women will only affect the speed of drawing the sword. Do you think it's so easy to be a master? This sand sculpture shows that he must be single. Yi Jian finally agreed, and Wei King was very happy. Sure enough, her charm was still reliable. As long as she made friends with the first master, she could integrate into the circle of friends of the masters later. Just as Wei King was fantasizing, there was a sudden sound of footsteps. Wei King was startled by the footsteps. She must have been discovered by the foreign server players. Master Jiangxing, let's go. However, Wei King found that Yi Jian had already run away. Wei King, are you a human? Exclamation mark. You ran away without saying a word? Exclamation mark. You are using me as a shield, aren't you? The confused Wei King was surrounded by two Southeast Asian players. The two of them had a tacit understanding and stretched out their palms to Wei King at the same time. The mean expressions on their faces were really asking for a beating. Haha, the expression of the goddess Kingshan is so funny. This confused look can be used as an emoticon package. Master Jiangxing's operation is really something I can't think of. Hahaha. Sure enough, the master's brain circuit is so clear. At this time, Yi Jian ran very far and found that there was no one chasing him. He hid and wondered, why didn't the woman catch up? Yi Jian, who was in the extreme cold region at the junction of Fenghua continent, suddenly smelled a trace of blood. When he was puzzled, the chicken lying on his shoulder also made a vigilant cry this time. Yi Jian turned his head to look in the direction of the bloody smell. Strange, how could there be such a strong smell of blood at such a long distance in the direction of the Great Rift Valley in the extreme cold region? Logically speaking, there are no more powerful enemies in the extreme cold region after the ground lizards were solved. As a top god on the level list, Yi Jian immediately went to check with the spirit of who else but me. Yu Song and Wang Yu, a couple, love each other in reality and kill each other in planet. Since the last New Year's Day event, they have had a crisis of trust. Yu Song said, "Wife, I beg you not to push me out as a shield next time you meet me. I really have no soul value. No mistakes in one song, one post, one content, 1619, one book, one bar, one look, one you, bar. You don't have soul points, but do I? You picked up the scales when you blew up the Nine Beast yesterday and ran away, leaving me alone to get slapped. Have you forgotten? Did you share the scales you sold with me?" Yu Song said helplessly, "I ran away subconsciously. If I didn't run away after the blast, would I have stayed there to attract hatred? You wouldn't have run with me." Wang Yu, "How could I run? You didn't even say hello. I'm telling you, Yu Song, hand over all the scales you blew up today to me, okay?" Yu Song didn't respond and changed the subject. "Don't talk about this, let's go. If you meet foreign players later and can't run away, blame me." Just as Wang Yu was about to continue to pester them, an overlord level boss suddenly rushed out from the distance. Yu Song and Wang Yu recognized this overlord. The overlords in the 10,000 mountains area are basically registered by domestic players. Yu Song was puzzled. Isn't this Kingling Niu? Isn't his territory over there in the swamp? Why did he suddenly run out? Wang Yu directly stopped Kingling Niu and asked, "Big Niu, what are you doing out here?" Kingling Niu had no hostility towards the human race and said honestly, 3 higher level creatures and tens of thousands of creatures came to the swamp. I can't beat them. Yu Song frowned. Aren't they the creatures in the Shuan Mountains? Kingling Niu, no, I don't know what kind of creatures they are, but they are definitely a race of creatures. Wang Yu continued to ask, "Then where are you going now?" Kingling Niu answered honestly, "My swamp has been occupied, so I can only move to the location of the Shitting tribe." After letting Kingling Niu leave, Wang Yu frowned. This race really knows how to find the time. They suddenly invaded the Shuan Mountains during the Spring Festival event. The national server players can't organize people to clear them out. Yu Song said, "Let's post this matter on the forum and inform the command. It can't be solved by the two of us." Wang Yu was about to nod in agreement when she suddenly realized that Yu Song had already run away. This scene had happened several times yesterday. Wang Yu knew with her buttocks that there were foreign players in front of her. She subconsciously turned around and ran, shouting as she ran, "Yu Song, you scumbag, do this again. I want to break up with you. Now, wife, don't be impulsive. I love you." "Then stop and stop them." "I won't. Scumbag. Break up." Behind the two of them, several foreign huskies were chasing Yu Song and Wang Yu like crazy. Soul value, red envelopes, Dada's coming. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136, Unexpected Situation during the Spring Festival event. On the second day of the Chinese New Year, which was also the third day of the event, He Yang was blasting the Nine Beast on Shura Island. If we talk about who is most familiar with Shura Island, it must be He Yang, who often went to the island to get the Blood Shura mentality. He Yang can walk the road from the Shura Island coastline to the Blood Shura cave with his eyes closed. He Yang saw the transmission fluctuations and several looming figures not far away, and immediately ran to the cave to hide. Who knows if you are friendly or enemy troops? It is better to run first. After He Yang jumped into the familiar cave, he opened his backpack to check the number of scales. Very good, enough to exchange for the Spring Festival costumes and the Year of the Tiger Mount. Without saying a word, he exchanged the two items. A set of robes engraved with tiger patterns and a domineering tiger appeared on He Yang's body and beside him out of thin air. Looking at the fierce costumes on his body, he was very satisfied. He reached out and stroked the domineering tiger. The tiger enjoyed the comfort of the owner and made a tiger roar to let the owner experience his domineering. However, as soon as the tiger mount made a sound, he uncovered his mouth. "Tiger," he lowered his voice and said, "don't make any noise. Don't let those idiots outside hear you, or your master and I will lose all our money." The tiger looked at Yang with resentment. Was his master a mentally retarded person? The man and the beast sat in the narrow cave, listening silently to the noise outside the cave. However, no sound came from outside the cave, but a faint sound came from the depths of the cave. Yang and the tiger looked into the depths of the cave at the same time. It was strange. After Mingjie, the idiot, left, there should be no living creatures here. How could there be a sound coming from inside? Yang put the tiger back into the mount space and walked directly to the depths of the cave to find out what was going on. "Just kidding. This is my back garden. No one can get involved." When Yang walked to the familiar sealed cave entrance, he saw the unexpected creatures in front of him. He didn't know how to react for a moment. Mingjie looked at the person who came and found that it was his acquaintance from the past. He smiled evilly. "Except you and me, no other living creatures will come here. I knew it was you when I heard the voice." Yang was not afraid. He was not going to die anyway. He walked into the cave carefree and sat down not far from Mingjie. He asked, "Didn't you leave? Why did you come back?" Mingjie was used to Yang's behavior. If he was afraid of him, Mingjie would find it strange. He could not kill himself, and he could not kill him either. Mingjie said to Yang, as if he was talking to an old friend, "I never left, so why did I come back?" Yang looked at Mingjie carefully and suddenly realized, "So your injury hasn't healed yet?" Mingjie answered frankly, "So what? Even if my injury hasn't healed, you can't do anything to me." Yang turned on the curious baby mode. "I'm curious about who hurt you when you were in the elves." Mingjie asked back, "Why should I tell you? We are enemies." Yang smiled and said, "Don't be so stingy. How about I buy you a drink and you tell me some gossip?" After that, Yang took out the monkey wine brewed by the Shitten tribe from his backpack and put it in front of Mingjie. Mingjie picked up the wine pot and took a sip and smiled. "You are really funny. I can't bear to kill you, although I don't know how to kill you." Yang, you drank the wine, so shouldn't you tell me the answer? Mingjie took another sip of the wine and said, "The chief of the elves, I was defeated by him, so I was seriously injured." Yang thought for a while. "When did it happen?" Mingjie, "It was many years ago. I forgot. I don't even know how many years I have been sealed." Yang asked the key question, "Did you go on a killing spree in the elves' territory and kill many of their tribesmen?" Mingjie smiled evilly. "What if not?" Yang continued to ask, "Did you encounter a pig-like creature at that time?" Mingjie asked in confusion, "How do you know? I did meet that holy spirit at that time. That senior even talked to me and asked me to kill less." Yang, "Then the elves regarded him as your accomplice?" Mingjie, "Maybe. They did attack that senior at that time. I was seriously injured and ran away without caring too much." Yang was speechless for a moment. The case was solved. It turned out that it was because of you, a idiot, that our Great Wunang took the blame. I was wondering how the elves could slander Great Wunang for slaughtering them. Mingjie continued to ask, "How do you know the whole process so clearly?" Yang, "Do you believe my guess?" Mingjie asked, "Do you have any more wine?" "No mistakes in the poem, the content. European server, what's going on? Can your Chinese server have such a real earthquake?" Korean server, as expected, the servers of the Republic of Korea are still very peaceful. The regions of the Chinese server can't compare to ours. Japanese server, you are everywhere. Are your heads full of kimchi? Korean server, it's better than your heads full of kidneys. Okay. Southeast Asian server, an earthquake killed half of the players on our server? Are you Chinese servers kidding us? At this time, the Chinese server was unusually quiet. All the Chinese server players knew that this was not a normal phenomenon. There had never been an earthquake in the Chinese server. Moreover, through the feedback from the forum and the world channel, whether it was the Jiushan Zuandu region, the Shuan Mountains, the Fenghua continent, the Hell region, or even the islands and the sea, they all felt the vibration, and the source of the vibration was really the direction of the extremely cold region. Strange, there should be no hostile races or creatures in the extremely cold region. And no powerful gods or even holy spirits were found there, so how could such a strong earthquake suddenly occur? Could it be that the official dog saw that we were having so much fun during the spring festival event and wanted to scare us? While the domestic players were on guard and the foreign players were confused, Bai Bing was peeling beans at home when he suddenly received a warning from Henny Bai saying that a holy spirit level evil spirit would soon be born on planet. Bai Bing was immediately confused. What the hell? Can't I give you an event during the spring festival? You still want to give me such a big surprise? Holy spirit level evil spirit? You are really good. Henny Bai explained that it had nothing to do with the players. It was just a coincidence that the evil spirit broke the seal. Now the evil spirit has not been completely unsealed. The players still have time to prepare. Bai Bing must make a plan immediately, otherwise the domestic players will be slaughtered. Bai Bing knows the seriousness of the matter. The holy spirit level evil spirit is not something that the domestic players can resist now, but you ask me to come up with a solution immediately. How can I do it? Suddenly Bai Bing thought of the 4 server players who were participating in the spring festival event of the domestic server. It seems that there is no way out. Aren't there still a group of cute little ones here? Chapter 137. All time goes back to Yijian. At the junction of the extremely cold region and the weathered continent, Yijian felt the smell of blood coming from the direction of the Great Rift Valley and decided to go to investigate. After activating the return scroll, he appeared in the camp of the descendants of the Azure Dragon and immediately smelled a stronger smell of blood. The domestic and foreign players in the same camp also found something wrong. Long Kui saw the familiar Yijian and immediately ran over. At this time, Long Kui had been promoted to a higher creature and temporarily led the hunter troops of the descendants of the Azure Dragon. Yijian asked directly, what happened in the Great Rift Valley? Why is the smell of blood so strong? Long Kui shook her head and said she didn't know. We don't have any tribesmen there. Since the ground lizards were defeated, our camp has not set foot there for a long time. After receiving Long Kui's reply, Yijian fell into deep thought. The ground lizards retreated, and the snowmen would not go to the Great Rift Valley for no reason. Even the descendants of the Azure Dragon didn't know the reason. It seems that he has to go there to find out. Yijian said to Long Kui, Long Kui, tell the people in your camp to be on guard. I'll go up to check. Long Kui immediately said, Brother Jiangxing, I'll go with you. Yijian looked at the determined Long Kui and hesitated for a while. Long Kui said, I have been promoted to a high level creature now, and I won't hold you back. Okay. After Yijian and Long Kui went to the Great Rift Valley, many high level players of the national server also teleported to the Kinglan descendants camp. They also planned to find out what was going on. Sitting and waiting for death is not the style of national server players. The distance between the camp and the Great Rift Valley is very close. Yijian and Long Kui arrived in a short while. Smelling the unprecedented blood, Yijian stood at the edge of the rift and looked down. There was nothing but darkness. Long Kui suddenly felt a fear from the depths of her soul. As a high-level god, she was trembling all over. Yijian was shocked to find that Long Kui was different. Long Kui, what's wrong with you? Long Kui looked at the abyss solemnly and said in a trembling voice, Brother Jiangxing, there is something under the abyss. I feel it. It's very scary. Yijian said, wait for me up there. I'll go down. If there is anything unusual, go back and inform the human race immediately. Long Kui knew that she had lost the courage to step into the abyss and looked at Brother Jiangxing, who was fearless and showed no abnormality, and replied, I know, Brother Jiangxing, be careful. Yijian nodded and then jumped down along the protruding rock wall at the edge of the crack. The dark environment made Yijian unable to see anything. He took out a torch from his backpack and lit it. The scene in front of him immediately made Yijian shudder. I saw that the densely packed ground lizards were clinging to every corner of the rock walls on both sides. Damn, so many overlord creatures didn't say a word. Are you kidding me? Although Yijian couldn't fight the overlord creatures alone, he could still escape. However, with the densely packed ground lizard overlords in front of him, I still ran away from you. Every lizard can drown me with a spit. However, Yijian, who did not intend to resist and was ready to die, found that the lizard tribe remained motionless after seeing him. Yi Jian looked at them carefully and curiously. The lizard tribe was trembling. They were afraid. Why were they afraid? What were they afraid of? Thinking back to Long Kui's words, it seemed that there were really terrifying things under the abyss, and as he went deeper and deeper, the smell of blood became stronger and stronger. Yi Jian let go of the burning torch and let it fall into the abyss. The falling flames gradually disappeared. So deep, without thinking too much, he lit another torch and continued to explore downwards. The lizard tribes around him remained motionless and ignored Yi Jian. After descending for 5 minutes, Yi Jian threw the few remaining torches down again. This time, Yi Jian found that the descending flames seemed to illuminate something, like a few trees. How could there be trees under the abyss? He was about to reach the bottom of the abyss. The smell of blood was so strong that it was a bit difficult to breathe. Yi Jian finally discovered the full picture of the bottom of the abyss. Through the firelight, Yi Jian saw dozens of dense trees growing on the rock walls on both sides. Each tree extended a root towards the center. Yi Jian found that the person entangled by the tree roots was actually a short old man with black spots all over his body, and each root was attached with yellow talismans. If I'm not mistaken, this should be corpse spots, right? And this old man gave Yi Jian the feeling of a corpse. Yi Jian looked at the old man with his eyes closed. The strong smell of blood was emanating from the old man. Yi Jian looked at the yellow talismans on the roots and found that many of them were stained with blood. Judging from the situation, these blood stains have been there for some time. When Yi Jian was looking at the old man also opened his eyes at this time. His dark green eyes had no eyeballs, and he stared at the strange creature in front of him. So it's the human race. It was you who fought with the ground lizard before. A hoarse voice came from the old man's mouth. Yi Jian asked cautiously, "Who are you?" The old man thought for a while, then said, "Who am I? Let me think about it. It's been too long. I can't think of who I am." Yi Jian was a little speechless. Is this old man stupid? The old man suddenly realized, "Oh, I remember. My name is Ji, one of the 9 saints of the corpse clan." Yi Jian immediately opened the official website to check the creature Ji. Ji, realm is suppressed to the early stage of the Holy Spirit, a god creature of the corpse clan, ranked according to Lin Bingdao Zheg Zen Lion Zakayan, the 5th seat of the 9 gods, a god race in the world of creatures, extremely vicious, feeds on blood, and kills all the creatures he encounters. He is sealed, about to be unsealed. No mistakes in one poem, one post, one content, 1619, one book, one forum. Yi Jian's eyes widened after reading the information. God race! Exclamation mark. And he's a villain! Exclamation mark. Ji said in a hoarse voice, "I have to thank you humans. After the fight with the ground lizards, their blood contaminated the talisman that sealed me. Otherwise, I don't know how long I would have been sealed." Yi Jian silently drew out his sword and walked forward slowly. Ji seemed to have seen something interesting. Huh. Are you going to attack me? It's strange that a creature who has just touched the threshold of the higher level of creatures can resist my blood. Yi Jian used his strongest skill on Ji without hesitation, but the sword blade scratched Ji's naked upper body and could not cause any damage to him. Ji advised kindly, "I will break the seal soon. You still have time to escape now. When I regain my freedom, you can't run away." At this moment, a talisman on a tree root suddenly fell off. At this time, Yi Jian discovered that more than 10 talismans had fallen on the ground, all of which were stained red with blood. Yi Jian immediately made a decision to let the descendants of the Azure Dragon and the Snowman tribe in the extremely cold area escape. Yi Jian knew that he could not cause any harm to him, so he immediately opened his friend list and privately chatted with Listen to Me, It's Right Liangting, to inform him of the situation. Ji found that this human creature was standing still and said to Yi Jian, "Human, how about helping me remove the talisman? I can spare your life and let you submit to me." Yi Jian hesitated for a while and walked forward, silently removing a complete talisman. Ji looked at this human with relief. Although he could break the seal by himself, it would still take a lot of time. However, what Ji did not expect was that Yi Jian suddenly pressed the complete talisman on Ji's forehead, and a fierce burning sensation suddenly filled Ji's whole body, causing him to scream. Ah. Human. You are looking for death. Ji roared hoarsely at Yi Jian, while resisting the burning sensation. Because of Ji's fierce struggle, a strong earthquake was generated from the depths of the abyss, and Yi Jian fell to the ground due to the sudden earthquake. Ji kept shaking his head violently, to shake off the talisman on his forehead. Yi Jian took this opportunity to find a talisman that was not completely contaminated by blood on the ground, and tried to stick it back on the tree root. Ji endured the pain of being whipped by the tree root, and tried his best to tear off the talisman with his hands. He stared at Yi Jian fiercely and said, "Human race, I will let the blood of your race soak the entire land." Chapter 138 Misfortunes never come alone. Liang Ting was stunned for a long time after receiving Yi Jian's private message. "Holy Spirit, evil spirit? Are you kidding me? Question mark? What on earth did you do? You gave me a Holy Spirit villain for no reason. What should I do? Question mark?" At the same time, both domestic and foreign players received a system notification. Planet players, because a player Jiangxing discovered the evil spirit of the Corpse Clan, Holy Spirit, at the bottom of the abyss of the Great Rift Valley in the extremely cold region. The server is about to start a campaign. The Spring Festival activities are suspended, and the cross-server cracks are attained. European, Korean, Japanese, and Southeast Asian servers can be transferred to the Chinese server through the cracks to participate in the campaign. Campaign number limit, none. Campaign level limit, none. Campaign command limit. Each server can only apply for one commander, and can also join other server lineups. The players on the 4 servers were immediately confused. Holy Spirit? The Chinese server is so awesome now? The battles are of this level? The first battle of our Korean server is actually on the Chinese server? Are you kidding me? You can choose not to participate, and go back to eat kimchi. Whether all members can successfully break through to the first level, depends on this time. I have to say, that the Chinese server is awesome. By the way, does our server have a commander? Same question. Compared to the confusion of the foreign server players, the Chinese server players were collectively broken at this time. It's you again. This time you actually created a Holy Spirit level villain for me. How do we do it? You are worthy of being the battle engine. I, an old lady, will surrender to you without even helping you. Is the great god Jiangxing too proud? He dares to launch a Holy Spirit? Another battle? Great. What's there to be afraid of? I don't care about life and death. Just do it. If you don't obey, you really eat and drink from the big brother, and even scold the big brother. At this time, Yi Jian didn't know that he had been blamed again in the eyes of the Chinese server players. The players had no resistance to the sudden suspension of the Spring Festival activities by the authorities. They were kidding. Who would play activities with you when you can play the battle? Especially the players in the national server. Most of them were about to reach the 3rd level and wanted to rush up and start fighting immediately. Liang Ting immediately applied for the commander of the national server, and BG William beside her also applied for the commander of the European server. Liang Ting said, "Our 2 servers are fine. The other 3 servers have not experienced the battle. They may not be able to choose a commander for a while." BG William nodded, "And their level is too low. The highest server level list has not reached the 1st level." Liang Ting didn't know how to evaluate the authorities at this time. They always make surprise attacks. Can't people be mentally prepared? Just as Liang Ting and BG William were introducing the extremely cold area and the surrounding environment, the chief of the Shitten tribe, Yuan Fang, arrived at Jiushan Zuandu through the return scroll and immediately saw Liang Ting next to the exchange. Yuan Fang knew that Liang Ting was a senior official of Jiushan Zuandu, and he came up and said directly, "Commander, a huge number of races have poured into the 10,000 mountains and have slaughtered many lives. Liang Ting, what's going on? Why are all the things happening at the same time?" BG William asked a soul-searching question. "Are all the battles on your Chinese server coming together? Why are you playing so fancy?" Liang Ting didn't know how to reply to the other party and asked Yuan Fang, "What race is coming? How many? How strong is it?" Yuan Fang, "We don't know what race it is, but the number is over 1,000,000. 2 gods, dozens of high-level creatures, and the rest are medium-level creatures." Liang Ting suddenly didn't know what to do. One Holy Spirit was not enough, and then such a strong hostile race invaded. What the hell? BG William looked at Liangting silently, wondering how you would deal with this situation. System notification. Planet players, the Chinese server's 10,000 mountains area is flooded with hostile races. The other side is a high-level creature race, infinitely close to the god race. The server is about to start a battle. European, Japanese, Korean, and Southeast Asian servers can be teleported to the Chinese server through the cracks to participate in the battle. Battle number limit, none. Battle level limit, none. Battle command limit, each server can only apply for one commander, and can also join other server lineups. Foreign players were speechless. How can the Chinese server be so fancy? I used to envy the Chinese server for being a human machine mode, but now I realize that I was naive. This is the real hell mode. I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. I love you. I just realized that our Southeast Asian server is not the most difficult. Chinese players felt the strong malice of the game officials. Is the server being targeted? I suspect that the host of the Planet game has been hacked. Why don't we call the police? The emperor was cheated halfway through his business. When Liangting was still helpless, He Yang suddenly came online and sent a private message to Liangting, informing her that Mingjia was still on Shura Island and could attack the Chinese server at any time. After receiving it, Liangting suddenly wanted to resign as the commander of the Chinese server. Who cares? I won't serve you anymore. Originally, I planned to ask Fu Kai to go out of the mountains to support Shu and Dashan, but in the end, he didn't have to go. He just stayed in Jiushan Zuandu and stayed here as a mascot. BG William learned from Liangting that there was an independent god villain who was eyeing Jiushan Zuandu. He looked at Liangting with deep sympathy, but didn't know how to comfort her. If he was the commander of the Chinese server, he didn't know what to do. All the servers combined might not be able to defeat the Holy Spirit. Now there is an invasion of enemies that are infinitely close to the god race, plus a god. I will surrender and uninstall the game. Liangting pondered for a while and said to Yuan Fang, you Shitan tribe should organize friendly races in the 100,000 mountains to resist together, and let the dominant creatures in the 100,000 mountains join you. I will let the human race send people to support you. You just hold on for a while. After getting the reply from the human commander, Yuan Fang breathed a sigh of relief. In terms of fearlessness, the human race is second, and no race dares to claim first. This is the reputation that the human race has earned by constantly committing suicide. Yuan Fang's goal this time is to get the support of the human race. Liangting said, let's split up into two groups. Please go to the 10,000 mountains to support us. BG William knew that Liangting wanted to leave the hard bones for herself and leave the relatively easy battles in the 10,000 mountains to the European server. BG William nodded. I understand. Leave it to us. Even if we can't defeat the enemy, I can prevent them from entering the Nine Heavens Zuandu area. Liangting, I believe you. BG William continued, but I'm worried that we may not be able to leave enough combat forces to support you when the time comes. Liangting, it's okay, you have helped us a lot. At this time, the Japanese server has selected a battle commander named Chironomoto, a player with a professional warrior, and the game ID is Fuji Mountain Screwworker. The number of players participating in the battle on the Japanese server exceeded 1 million. Because the player level was too low, Liangting discussed with the Chironomoto to let them join the European server queue, and the Chironomoto nodded in agreement. The Korean server commander was named Ma Ying Deo, with a game ID called Bubble Dragon and a professional mage. The number of Koreans participating in the battle also exceeded 1 million. Because of their low level, Liangting planned to arrange the Koreans in the same way as the Japanese servers, and also included them in the European server team. However, the Korean commander was quite arrogant and refused to be inferior to others. He planned to form an army to participate in the battle. Liangting let him do it. After all, an army that could not be transferred would be the same wherever it went. It was indeed naive if he had not experienced a battle. Southeast Asian servers had been beaten continuously since the opening of the server, and they had their own commander a long time ago. A Chinese named Ruan Huang, with the ID name Chunshu, was an assassin player. There were also 1 million people participating in the battle, but they seemed particularly disciplined in comparison. Liang Ting saw that the Southeast Asian players had certain combat experience and gave them the task of fighting gorillas in the 10,000 mountains, constantly harassing the enemy Lenup and supporting the European server if they found that they were in a difficult battle. After giving all the details, Liang Ting began to reorganize the already hungry and thirsty Chinese army and sighed. This is a tough battle. Chapter 139, Xingpeng Clan Invasion. In the Khitan tribe camp of Shiwan Mountain, countless apes and various friendly races were looking forward from the top of various high mountains. Hundreds of overlord creatures were living separately. They all knew that this was their last line of defense. It would not be long before the enemy arrived. It would definitely be a fierce battle. Under a light curtain, all creatures saw the human race coming out of the light curtain. Densely packed players appeared in all directions with a look of surprise. The number of people participating in the battle in the European server this time was more than 5 million, and most of them had the second level combat power. With the other 3 newly opened servers, the total number of players added up to more than 8 million. Wow, there are so many high level creatures and races here. Are these allies of the Chinese server? I feel that this battle is not very difficult. With so many of us, and so many allies, we can't beat a race on the opposite side? Brothers, do you have any misunderstandings about the words infinitely close to the gods' races? Why don't you go back to elementary school again? Yuan Fang found that the human races who came this time were all new to him, and he didn't even see the commander of the human race, and he was worried. All the dominant creatures present were both afraid and awed by the huge Lenup of the human race. For them, strength is everything. If you defeat them, they will listen to you. BG William walked up to Ruan Huang and said, Commander Chunshu, thank you for your help. Chunshu nodded, don't worry. Leading millions of Southeast Asian players on foot to the front, Ma Yingdao proudly organized millions of players from his own server to advance from the other side. The Republic of Korea was not to be outdone. The European server players were speechless when they saw the Korean server players who had no B number. The more proud they were now, the more miserable they would be beaten later. Have a good journey. BG William discussed with Ichiro Nomoto and asked every Japanese server player to join a 6-person team of the European server so that the old could lead the new, and it would be easier to command. The Japanese server, which always respected the strong, had no objection and said seriously, hurry, then passed the order on the command channel. On the Chinese server, Liang Ting led the Chinese server players to the extremely cold area. The Qinglang descendants camp was instantly filled with Chinese server players. The descendants hunter who knew Liang Ting came forward to inform them of the situation. Liang Ting found that the ice and snow in the extremely cold area had stopped at this time and said to the hunter, take advantage of the ice and snow to immediately take your people to my great south, and don't stop until you see our human race's main city. Although it is unknown why the continuous ice and snow weather in the extremely cold area suddenly changed, it is undoubtedly beneficial to the Chinese server. I just want to find the great god Jiangxing now. What on earth is he thinking to wake up a holy spirit? The battle engine is well deserved. Why don't you let the great god Jiangxing transfer to the Korean server? It's better to harm them than to harm us. That's right, let him leave the chicken behind before leaving. The descendants of the Qinglang listened to the instructions of the human race, and all the tribesmen migrated to the south with light luggage. Along the way, they saw the stupid snowmen heading towards the Great Rift Valley, and went up to stop them, pulling their hair and forcibly pulling them to go south together. Liang Ting saw that only the camp of the national server players was left. Even if the national server could not defeat them all, the creatures in the extremely cold region could be saved. With so many players in the national server risking their lives, even the Holy Spirit should have given up. However, Liang Ting did not know at this time that, since the ice and snow in the extremely cold region stopped, the Xingpeng tribe far away in the weathered continent had already learned about it. The Xingpeng tribe leader Peng Xin immediately organized his tribe members to go to the extremely cold region. That should be the territory of the human race. It was time to find out the truth. Millions of Xingpeng tribe members were ready to go and had already entered the extremely cold region. Although the ice and snow had stopped, the long-term cold would not subside all at once. Birds were born to be afraid of the cold. The biting cold wind and frost made every Xingpeng member who entered the extremely cold region use his wings to protect his body and could not fly. Peng Xin, as a god, was the only creature that was not afraid of the extremely cold environment. As soon as he entered the extremely cold region, Peng Xin felt a tremor in his heart. What exactly was this majesty? The distance between the Qinglang descendants camp and the border of the weathered continent is very close, and the Chinese players soon discovered the invading Xingpeng tribe. Fuck, why are these stupid birds here? Invading at this time. They really know how to choose the time. What should we do? If we want to do it, we should hurry up and do it while there is still time. Do it, don't wait. We will be beaten when the Holy Spirit below the rift breaks the seal. Liang Ting knew that this battle must be fought after seeing the Xingpeng tribe. Jiangxing was still below. According to the content of his private message, the Holy Spirit below should not break the seal so quickly, so they can only be beaten now. Immediately decided to beat the Xingpeng tribe now. What's the fear? How daring people are. How fertile the land is. Even if the players die, they can wait an hour to go online. Immediately issued an order on the command channel. Get them. All the front row summon mounts. Break through their formation as quickly as possible. The rest of the players should do what they should do. Go. Beat them. No mistake. One song. One post. One content. One content. 1619. One book. One bar. Look. As long as you are brave enough, I will give you maternity leave next year. I will never forgive evil. Damn it, I haven't settled the score with you for the last time, and you dare to come again this time. All the players summoned their own mounts and rushed towards the Xingpeng tribe like crazy. Peng Xin found that the human race actually took the initiative to attack. He narrowed his eyes and felt that Fukai was not there. How brave. This time, I will kill you completely. Although the tribe members cannot fly, after the last fight with the human race, their combat power is far inferior to their own race. They immediately issued an order. All the Xingpeng tribe rushed towards the human race at the same time. Facing this group of weak chickens, formations and everything are a waste. What if I give you millions of combat power? I will kill you with my own millions of combat power. However, the current players are no longer the national server. When Fukai was rescued, everyone present has a second level combat power, and most of them have already touched the threshold of the third level. As long as you are destroyed this time, if there is enough time, you can change your job by the way. When you reach the third level, you will have more hope to fight against the Holy Spirit. The three occupation groups of Akala, Holy Sword, and Armor Protector collided with the front row of the Xingpeng tribe. The players were fearless and fierce with a mentality of revenge, and the Xingpeng tribe obviously underestimated this hostile race. When the human race rushed into his back without any pressure, Peng Xin found something wrong. How could the combat power of this human race be so much stronger than before? Impossible. Fuck them. Fuck the bird people. Ah. Ula. The powerful momentum of the players made all the Xingpeng tribe see the reality clearly, and they immediately changed their scattered positions and formed a formation. Liang Ting looked at the two warring parties and knew that the Xingpeng tribe had lost to the national server, so she issued an order. Except for Holy Healer, all occupations will break up their formation regardless of casualties. Shadow Killer and Endless will sneak into their back row. Don't let them escape. Take them away in one wave. Peng Xin had to take action when he saw this situation. He spread his wings and leaned over to rush towards the human race. However, the human race on the battlefield ignored this god. I will fight you. You, a god, can kill several of us. I don't believe that your skills have no cooldown. I will just stare at your people and do whatever you want. Chapter 140 The Confused Xingpeng Clan. Peng Xin is a god, but he has a hard time facing the human race, a group of ants. Although he keeps using skills to make the human race disappear piece by piece, the number of human race is too large, and the strength is very even, with all kinds of soldiers, almost no shortcomings. In contrast, his own Xingpeng tribe is a bit single. Every attack of his race is blocked by the front row of the human race, and the long-range attack of the middle row makes the Xingpeng tribe miserable. The medical treatment of the human race in the back row can continue to treat, and the most uncomfortable thing is that the human race in the back row of his race has cut off the retreat. Peng Xin knows that he has lost this time. He can't turn the situation around by his own strength. Now he can only see if he can break through. With the idea of revenge against the Xingpeng tribe, the national server knows how to beat the opponent without Liang Ting's command. The narrow-minded players have new and old hatreds against the Xingpeng tribe, which cannot be solved by a barbecue. The attack of the national server players has already compressed the living space of the Xingpeng tribe to a very small extent. Liang Ting felt compassion at this time. If the Xingpeng tribe's combat power is now completely lost here, the Xingpeng civilians on the Fenghua continent will suffer. Liang Ting's idea has always been not to destroy the Xingpeng tribe, but to defeat them and force them to form an alliance, so that it is natural to establish a return point on the Fenghua continent. The battle lasted for nearly an hour. The Xingpeng tribe, with nearly half of the casualties, had lost all their morale. Even the god Peng Xin had consumed more than half of his divine power. Liang Ting issued an order for the players to stop. This stick was over, and now it was time to give candy to the Xingpeng tribe. The national server players stopped immediately. We know what the commander is thinking. It's time to draw a pie. Peng Xin found that the human race suddenly stopped attacking. Confused and vigilant, he scanned the entire plane and trapped millions of human races. What did this group of human race want to do? Peng Xin suddenly saw a human standing alone on a high slope in the distance, looking particularly abrupt. The other person raised his hand to greet him and asked him to come over. Peng Xin sneered, "You, an ant, want to order me around?" The player saw that such a proud old bird calmly drew his weapon again and looked at the frightened Xingpeng tribe with a friendly face. Peng Xin was immediately out of breath. Threatening me? Will I fall for it? There is no one in the Xingpeng tribe who is afraid of death. The national server players didn't know how to describe Peng Xin. It was the first time they saw such an ignorant and inconsiderate god. So brave. Why don't we kill them and make soup? Put some wolfberry in it, thank you. I'm a little weak and need to replenish my blood. Are you sure you don't have kidney deficiency? Are there any players from Guangdong province? Here comes your professionalism. Liang Ting looked at this stupid old bird speechlessly and issued an order on the command channel. Go ahead, don't hit too hard. Peng Xin found that the eyes of the human race suddenly changed. The look of drawing weapons and crying for food was exactly the same as the psychopathic style in the past, and he immediately became nervous. Wait a minute. Peng Xin interrupted awkwardly. The national server players looked at him with speechless contempt. This old bird had to make it so embarrassing. Why? The way you talk tough is exactly the same as the old man next door. Does this look like the hypocritical look when you received red envelopes during the Chinese New Year? It seems to have compromised, but not completely compromised. Peng Xin flew over Liang Ting and landed with a look of disdain on his face. Liang Ting was so angry that her teeth itched. Is this old guy sick? Can't he see the situation clearly? If I give you an order, you will be extinct. However, Chinese players are a nation of etiquette after all. No matter how much they are angry inside, they still have to smile on their faces. Hello, Senior Peng Xin, I'm the commander of the human race. May I ask why the nobles set foot in the extremely cold region this time? Liang Ting asked with a smile on her face. Peng Xin suddenly didn't know how to answer. What should he say? Say that he came here to destroy you humans? Or that we are actually here for sightseeing? Damn, this reason is not acceptable to me. Seeing Peng Xin's constipated look, Liang Ting smiled and continued, Senior Peng Xin, there were some misunderstandings between our two tribes before. In fact, the human race actually holds a friendly attitude towards the nobles. After listening to Liang Ting's words, Peng Xin turned his head to look at the snowy ground, where blood was flowing like a river, and turned back to ask a soul-searching question. You call this friendship? Liang Ting replied shamelessly, of course. The human race intends to form an alliance with the Xingpeng tribe, negotiate on the basis of equality and mutual assistance, and resolve the misunderstandings between the two tribes. What do you think, tribe leader? Peng Xin didn't know how to respond, and asked back, haha, what do you think? Liang Ting, I think it's okay. You see, why do we have to keep fighting each other? As the saying goes, when will the cycle of revenge end? How much do we know about the past? As long as we let go of hatred and grudges, and everyone is full of love, the world will become a beautiful world. National server players muttered. Why are you reciting poems again? Reciting poems is fine, but you recited them wrong. What's the matter? Are you bullying the Xingpeng tribe for not having attended elementary school? It's fine if you pronounce it wrong, but you even sing it. Don't mention it, it rhymes. Pengzin questioned. You killed so many people from our race. Do you think our two races can have a good ending? Liangting, didn't you kill so many people from our human race before? We didn't say anything. Pengzin, so don't dream. Even if I agree, my people won't agree. Liangting asked, no room for negotiation? No. No. Well, kill them all. No. What? Pengzin looked at Liangting in surprise. You were smiling the last second, but you could change your face and start killing so quickly the next second? After receiving the order, the players once again continuously compressed the living space of the Xingpeng tribe, leaving only 500,000 people, which took more than an hour, and they could still get experience and soul points, which was great. Pengzin immediately interrupted Liangting. Wait a minute. The national server players looked at Pengzin with resentment. Is this going to end? Are you going to fight or not? Where are your principles? Didn't you say there is no room for negotiation? What are you waiting for? Liangting looked at Pengzin curiously. Chief, do you have any more questions? Pengzin said awkwardly. It's not that there is no room for negotiation. Liangting was overjoyed. So the Xingpeng tribe can form an alliance with the human race? Pengzin's mentality has been exhausted. If we agree, what can we get? What do we need to do? Liangting shook her head. We won't ask you to do anything. We just need our two tribes to trade and promise not to attack each other. Aren't you afraid that we will go back on our word? No, you can't beat us. Pengzin knew that Liangting was telling the truth. After this battle, the Xingpeng tribe had completely lost the capital to make things difficult for the human race. Aren't you afraid that I will kill you now? Will you kill me, chief? Liangting asked in a friendly manner. Pengzin was silent for a long time and finally nodded in agreement. At this time, all the national server players received a system notification informing them that they had received the alliance prompt from the Xingpeng tribe. The national server players in the extremely cold area collectively put away their weapons. Just as they were about to ease the embarrassment and hatred with the warriors of the Xingpeng tribe, Liangting received a private message from Yu Jian. The private message content. What's going on with you guys? Why is there so much blood dripping again? Liangting was about to reply, but before she finished typing the content, Yi Jian's private message came again. The seal was destroyed by the blood, and the Holy Spirit can no longer be trapped. Get ready. Chapter 141. The Yin Spirit Tribe. In the Shuan Mountains, the players on the 4 servers now have a clear idea of what race the invading enemy is. The Yinling tribe, a high-level race, infinitely close to the god race, is the strongest race in the Silver Fire region. It is located in the east of the extremely cold region and the north of the Shuan Mountains. The tribe feeds on the spirits of living creatures and the essence of flowers and plants. BG William had a gloomy face. Although the number of Yinling tribe in front of him was not large, only 500,000, they were almost all of medium-level creature-level combat power, dozens of high-level creature-level combat power, and a god stood in the front. BG William asked Yuan Fang, who was not far away, didn't you say that the other side had 1,000,000 combat power before? There are only 500,000 here. Are you sure you didn't see it wrong? Yuan Fang shook his head. No, they are now missing half of their combat power, and one god is missing. BG William didn't know what to do. The other side actually divided their troops. If they were concentrated together, BG William would not be afraid of fighting the Yinling tribe. Anyway, they would just fight with their lives. As long as they didn't let the other side break through the defense line, and as long as there was enough time, BG William was sure to drag them out. But the other side actually lost half of its combat power and no one knew what to do, and that half of the combat power also had a spirit. BG William immediately said to Ichironomoto, you ask the assassin brothers on the Japanese server to immediately find the missing half of the Yinling tribe, no matter what. Ichironomoto was not a fool. He nodded and immediately issued an order on the command channel, and hundreds of thousands of assassin players immediately dispersed and left. The reason why BG William asked the assassins on the Japanese server to search was really helpless. The European server players were the main force and could not spare a single soldier. The Korean server was too self-righteous, and the Southeast Asian server had other users. BG Williams said to all the players on the 4 servers, "Everyone, the next war will be very difficult. I hope you can withstand the pressure. This time, the Chinese server threatened to resist the Holy Spirit alone. If our 4 servers can't even take down a high-level creature race, we will be inferior to the Chinese server in the future. I hope you will do your best to win this battle. Don't worry, it's just a hostile race, with only 500,000 people. We have more than 10 times more people than them. No matter what, we must surpass the Chinese server. Anyone who takes a step back in my Korean server is a dog. If anyone who takes a step back in the Japanese server, I will make him commit suicide by cutting his stomach." The Southeast Asian server has not learned anything else since the server was opened. "We are also professional in the ability to be beaten. Don't worry, we are used to it." BG Williams saw the high morale of the players present and smiled bitterly, hoping that you can still have this momentum later. The 4 servers added up to 8 million players. Except for the assassin players assigned by the Japanese server, the rest were all distributed on the tops of the 10,000 mountains. At a glance, the boundless mountains were full of players. BG Williams said to the patriarchs of various races and dozens of overlord creatures present, "Everyone, when the time comes, our human race will use our lives to hold back the Yinling tribe's army. The remaining dozens of high-level creatures will be handed over to you. Be sure to deal with them in the shortest time, and then support us." The patriarchs of each race in the Shuan Mountains have the strength of high-level creatures. It is not stressful to fight a high-level creature of the Yinling tribe alone, not to mention that each race has many tribesmen. The patriarchs present all have goodwill towards the human race. They are convinced by the human race who are always accustomed to seeking death. If the human race says to hold back with their lives, then they will definitely hold back with their lives. All the patriarchs agreed to BG William, and although the remaining dozens of overlord creatures did not have much goodwill towards the human race, they did not have any hostility. Moreover, the Yinling tribe has forced these overlords to lose their territory by sweeping all the way here, and they will stand on the side of the human race both publicly and privately. BG William was secretly surprised. How did the Huaxia server manage to make so many races and overlords obey them? You should know that the combat power of the Shuan Mountains alone is enough to destroy the European server, not to mention the other regions conquered by the Chinese server. In this case, please hide in the corners of the mountains. Their high-level creatures will not gather together to attack. If we humans separate into regions, they will definitely attack separately. After saying this, BG William asked them to prepare. At this time, the Yinling tribe was a little surprised by the creatures covering the Shuan Mountains in front of them. There are so many creatures in this region. No wonder the Monster tribe under their command failed as the vanguard to conquer this region. The Monster tribe that fought with the Shitan tribe was one of the many tribes under the Yinling tribe. The Yinling tribe was the strongest race in the Silver Fire region. Each god in the tribe governed a subordinate race. The Monster tribe that was defeated by the players was under the command of the Yinling tribe god Jeho, who was confronting the human race at this time. Jeho discussed with Hulao, who was also a spirit of the Yinling clan, for a long time, before convincing him to help him attack the Shuan Mountains. At this time, the army Jeho led was directly under the Yinling clan, while Hulao, who had disappeared, brought 500,000 floating grass creatures under his command to support Jeho. Although there were many creatures on the human side, Jeho had no concerns. The other side had no spirits present, and their strengths were uneven. As long as his army rushed to kill them in one go, the momentum would naturally gather. Moreover, Hulao was also ambushing with the floating grass tribe. As long as the timing was right, the creatures of the Shuan Mountains would be wiped out by him. By then, this vast area would be occupied by the Yinling clan, and he could obtain half of the territory. The warriors of the Yinling clan all rode on horses wearing red flame pattern armor. Jeho did not even make a pre-war mobilization. He slowly raised his hand and pointed in the direction of the human race. 500,000 Yinling clan creatures rushed out in batches and ran towards the enemy. The momentum of the Yinling creatures running in batches shook the ground. Except for the European server, the players on the other 3 servers saw such a scene for the first time. They were speechless. This momentum is really strong. Are you sure we can stop this charge? I feel like a single collision would kill me in an instant. This is the first time since I was born that I feel I'm so brave. Mom, your son has made it. Becky Williams sensed the timidity of the other 3 servers and hurriedly comforted them. Don't worry, we are scattered on various hills. We will have to dismount when the opponents come over. At that time, European players should only focus on one enemy creature and don't fight with them. Japanese players will collectively log off now and log back on in half an hour. Remember, they must log back on in half an hour. In the European team, every Southeast Asian player must listen to the captain's instructions. Korean, you guys can handle it. Becky Williams couldn't command the Korean team, nor did he bother to command the Korean players. He let these self-righteous guys be meat shields. However, the Korean players at this time were no longer proud and wanted to throw themselves into the arms of the European dad. There is one player from the Southeast Asian server who joins the team of the European server players. Becky Williams did this for 2 reasons. One is that the old players can bring the new players. The other is that there are 6 players in a team. If 5 European server players bring 1 Southeast Asian server player, then the original 6 teams can become 7. The strength has not dropped much, but the number of teams can be increased a lot. As for Becky Williams asking the Japanese server players to go offline, it is entirely to prevent another Yinling army that has not yet appeared. Although the Japanese server is very weak, it can still resist for a while if there is an emergency, leaving enough time for Becky Williams to make a strategic decision. Chapter 142 Delaying time. Jiho commanded his mount to move forward slowly. He was not in a hurry for the Yinling warriors charging in front of him. Jiho had confidence in the creatures of his race. When the creatures of the Yinling tribe arrived at the first mountain, several high-level creatures and a troop separated and set out to destroy the enemies on the mountain. Most of the rest of the army continued to move forward, and when they reached a mountain, they separated high-level creatures and warriors in turn. Every Yinling who stepped onto the mountain chose to dismount and choose to attack the enemies on the mountainside on foot. Although climbing a mountain on a colt was fast, it was not convenient for fighting. Up to now, all the actions of the Yinling tribe were carried out according to Becky Williams' idea. At this time, Becky Williams had been looking around. As long as there was any movement, Becky Williams would implement other plans. After all, there was still a missing enemy army. In 10 minutes, 500,000 Yinling tribes had all set foot on the hills where there were enemies. Each European and Southeast Asian team only attacked one of the Yinling warriors, and the Yinling's extra high-level creatures were blocked by the clan leaders and overlord creatures of each race in the 10,000 mountains. Whether it was the high-level creatures or overlord creatures on both sides, each level had its strengths and weaknesses. In just 10 minutes, both sides had already suffered damage to high-power creatures. The 10,000 mountains camp lost 7 overlord creatures and 3 clan leaders, while the Yinling camp lost 9 high-level creatures. This game of strength and loss largely depended on luck. If you are lucky, you will encounter an enemy with lower strength than you, then it will be easy to kill. If you are unlucky, you will be killed. If you are lucky enough, you can play rock paper scissors for a day if you meet an enemy of the same strength. The Koreans, who found that their servers were useless, did not dare to step forward to defend against the enemy. If they ran away, they would lose face. At this time, they were cheering near the battles between the 2 sides on the hillsides. They looked like extras in a TV series, holding weapons and wanting to go up but not daring to, as if they were perfunctorily saying, "Kill him, kill him." Becky Williams was numbed by the Korean server's operation. It was so shameless. You might as well go home and eat kimchi. However, after all, they were not players from his own server, and he, the temporary commander, was too lazy to scold them. After thinking about it again and again, the battle between the 2 sides lasted for half an hour, and the attack of the Yinling tribe was carried by the Shu and Dashan camp. The main players relied on their fearless spirit to prevent the warriors of the Yinling tribe from occupying any hilltops. The native races of the Shu and Dashan gradually gained the upper hand by virtue of their familiarity with the environment. The overlord creatures of the Shu and Dashan relied on their powerful individual combat capabilities to suppress the enemy. We actually stopped him. Long live Hanfu. Kill him, kill him. Shut up. You are just a big talker. That's right. What's the use of you? Go home and eat kimchi. The players who stabilized the situation suddenly became more motivated. Jiho saw that the warriors of the Yinling tribe were actually blocked and said to himself, "Isn't it time for you to take action?" Just as Jiho finished speaking, a faint indifference suddenly appeared out of thin air beside him and slowly transformed into a human-shaped creature. It was Hulao who had been disappearing. Hulao looked at the creatures of the 100,000 mountains camp and smiled. Sure enough, they can't be underestimated. Fortunately, you let me come this time. Don't forget that half of this area is mine. Jiho was impatient. I know. BG William had been paying attention to Jiho. When Hulao appeared out of thin air beside him, he had already noticed it. He immediately stared at every corner of the field. There were still 500,000 troops. Where were they? However, there was still no movement around. It stands to reason that the actions of 500,000 creatures could not be silent. At this time, the players who were fighting suddenly found that their blood volume was slowly decreasing, and they panicked. Fuck, why am I losing blood all of a sudden? Is he poisoned? Are you all losing blood? What's going on? Who said that we Korean players are not bleeding? Aren't we bleeding now? The players on the field have been looking for the reason why they are losing blood. Later, they found that a small handful of grass grew in every corner of the mountain, and the players immediately identified it. The floating grass tribe is a natural creature race, a special race. It feeds on water and has no level. It naturally absorbs the blood nearby. It follows the floating grass king for life. Controlling the floating grass king can control all the floating grass tribes in the area. Each handful of floating grass is growing rapidly, and it only takes a few seconds to grow into a human-like tree man. The floating grass tree man moves slowly, and the players find that they are losing more and more blood and become more panicked. Not only the players are losing blood, but all the races and overlord creatures in the 10,000 mountains find that they are getting weaker and weaker. It turns out that half of the millions of creatures Yuan Fang mentioned before are you. Maybe you are too far away and actually mistook the human-like floating grass for the Yinling tribe. BG William made a prompt decision and immediately ordered all Korean players, if you don't want to be despised by us, draw your weapons and chop down all these floating grasses. The Korean players who have been suffering from the lack of highlights suddenly brightened their eyes. Is it finally our turn? Sure enough, the situation still depends on us Koreans to turn the tide. Without us Koreans, you really don't know what to do. No mistakes. One song, one post, one content, 1619, one book, one bar. Look. Facing the floating grass without any attacking action, the Korean players had no fear and chopped the floating grass to death. The players and the native creatures of the 10,000 mountains found that the speed of blood loss has decreased a lot, and they knew it worked. Korean players shouted at this time, our Korean server alone has solved the other 500,000 enemies. Your 3 servers together, oh no, the Japanese server is offline. Your 2 servers together can't handle the other 500,000 enemies. It's really shameful. It's better to transfer to our Korean server. The speechless European and Southeast Asian players have already disdained to pay attention to this group of idiots and still join you. Joining you is to submit a case, right? It seems that idiots are contagious. Otherwise why are the entire Korean server full of idiots without a single normal person? Jiho smiled and said, your floating grass is useless. Hulao also smiled and said, it doesn't matter, as long as the floating grass king is still in my hands. These floating grasses can grow back by themselves. It's just a matter of time. Jiho, let's do it. Don't waste time. They are already at the end of their strength. Hulao nodded in agreement. BG William found that the 2 gods had begun to speed up and said to himself, it's almost time. Half an hour later, all the Japanese players went online and saw the 2 camps fighting fiercely on the field. Before the Japanese players could react, BG William ordered all Japanese players immediately go down to the foot of the mountain and ride on the Yinling tribe's ponies. Stop the 2 gods for me and use your life to hold them back. Those who don't have ponies should run over and stop them. Recall the assassin player who just left. BG Williams' words were equivalent to telling everyone on the field that the Japanese players used their lives to hold time for you. During this period of time, the rest of the players must defeat this group of Yinling tribe creatures no matter what. If the time is up, and it is not resolved, then the Battle of the 10,000 Mountains will be considered a failure. Whether it is the main players of the European and Southeast Asian servers, or the native races and overlord creatures of the 10,000 Mountains, or even the self-righteous Korean players, they all tried their best to do what they should do at this time. Fight. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143, Shameful Japanese Server Players. Before the Yinling tribe attacked the mountains, they left their foals at the foot of the mountain. Beji William seized the opportunity and immediately ordered the Japanese server to mount their horses and rush to attack the two gods of the Yinling tribe. The Japanese server players were a little confused when they saw such a spectacular war. As soon as they came online, they only reacted after Beji William urged them repeatedly. Ichiro Nemoto issued an order on the command channel of the Japanese server. Those who mount their foals must charge as soon as possible. Those who can't mount their horses must run over. The Japanese server players felt the cruelty of the planet battle for the first time. They were deeply influenced by the two-dimensional culture and advocated the spirit of Bushido. The Japanese server players who mounted their horses quickly adapted to the shock in their hearts. The Japanese server players who mounted their horses did not forget to say, "What did we miss in the past half hour? How can such a passionate event be without our Japanese Ultraman? I, Landling High School, must participate no matter what." Chariot of Fire. Transform. Charge. Chassis Geno problem. Nalotto. Players on other servers. Apart from the assassins, who had gone out to investigate, only 500,000 of the remaining 800,000 Japanese players rode on their horses, and the remaining 300,000 Japanese players ran like ninjas or death gods in comics. Which was as stupid as they could be. Beji Williams sighed. Although the behavior of these idiots was incomprehensible, their momentum was high, which should be reassuring. The players of the entire Japanese server should be able to delay the two gods for a while. The players of the other three servers also felt relieved and bold to hand over such an important task to the Japanese server. After all, their spirit that was one level higher than risking their lives was something we did not have, and they performed even more bravely in the face of the Yinling warriors. As time passed, the Yinling warriors of the middle creatures were gradually killed by the European and Southeast Asian servers, and the Yinling generals of the high creatures were also suppressed by the various clan leaders and overlord creatures living on the field. Just when Beji William thought that the overall situation here was settled, the Japanese players of Banksy Chihuo and Hulao had an accident again. Fuck, why is this colt so hard to ride? If you don't know how to ride, don't ride it. You hit me. The one in front. Keep going straight. Don't drift. Why are you in reverse gear in front? Have you bought car insurance? Are you sick? You think you're riding a Gundam? And you buy car insurance? Yes, of course you buy personal insurance. Then should Gundam buy car insurance or personal insurance? Since Japanese players have not yet reached the first level of strength, no player in the entire server has a mount, and naturally they have no experience in riding a mount. The 500,000 Japanese players are very powerful, and the momentum they exude along the way is also very shocking. The visual effect of the dense army charging at once is so amazing that even European players are amazed when they see it. However, these are 500,000 mounts. Didn't you see that the Yinling tribe always came in batches when charging? Are you crazy to charge like this at once? Oh, sorry, you just went offline and didn't see it. So I forgive you. During this journey, many Japanese players were thrown to the ground. Of the 500,000 mounts, nearly 50,000 were thrown. The foals that caught up behind them trampled them and sent them offline for dinner. BG William and other server players. I don't know how the races and overlords of the 10,000 mountains would face these human races when they saw this scene. You were fighting well in the beginning, but now you're messing around. It's fine to injure the enemy by 1,000 and lose 800 of your own, but you're losing tens of thousands of yourself before you even touch them, and you're using such a funny way. Will my laughter ruin the atmosphere? It seems that our opponents in Southeast Asia are only Chinese and European servers. Japanese and Korean servers are no longer a concern. At first I thought the Japanese server was quite reliable, but now I find that I just opened it in the wrong way. What kind of teammates are these gods? How can I fight side by side with them? Damn, the atmosphere suddenly became awkward. Jiho and Hulao originally planned to take the hundreds of thousands of creatures that came to attack them seriously, but seeing this group of enemies was so funny, they didn't know whether to fight or not. Hulao, you have been fighting with these psychos for so long, and you can't beat them? Jiho didn't know how to fight back for a while. Yes, why can't we beat such creatures? Are our Yunling warriors in decline? Hulao, how about we ignore them? Ghuo, okay, let's leave some local creatures. This area is too big, there's no need to kill them all. Hulao, it doesn't matter whether these creatures are killed or not, given their intelligence. Just as both sides looked down on the Japanese players, the smoke from the hundreds of thousands of mounts gradually dissipated. Suddenly, a figure rushed out of the smoke, followed by countless Japanese players, roaring like crazy, and rushing towards the two Yunling gods. No mistake, this group of lunatics was the Japanese players who were just making trouble. Because of their funny behavior, these players with strong self-esteem knew that they were embarrassed. They absolutely could not tolerate being despised and pitifully treated. Ichiro Nimoto shouted in the command channel, "Samurai, we Japanese must not be underestimated by players from any country. Our Japanese server will be the strongest server. Everyone, follow me." Jiho and Hulao were a little slow to react to this group of psychopaths with a sudden change in style, even though they were gods. Ichiro Nimoto, who was in the front, had already drawn his weapon and slashed at Jiho. Jiho, who didn't feel anything, sighed, "Why don't we just kill them all?" Hulao, "Whatever you want." At this time, the densely packed Japanese players had arrived in front of the two gods on ponies. Jiho raised his hand, and a dim barrier wrapped around himself and Hulao, and all the attacks of the Japanese players were blocked outside the screen. Fuck. Shinra Tensei? Shinra Tensei, are you crazy from watching anime? This is clearly Kaiten. Can you be more serious? The other servers are watching. Hulao stood behind the barrier, pressed his hand on the ground, and his eyes emitted green light. One after another, vines suddenly sprang out from the ground. Dozens of them kept swinging and attacking the Japanese players nearby. The Japanese players whose levels were too different from his turned into dots of light and disappeared after being lightly touched by the vines, leaving only the restless foals behind. The Japanese players were destroying the barrier desperately with the mentality of seeing death as the way home for food. Although the attack was too low, the continuous attack still made the barrier start to shake. Jiho saw that this group of crazy people who didn't care about their lives began to get serious, and he raised his other hand, and the shaking barrier suddenly stabilized. Hulao didn't say anything, and also raised his other hand, and more than 10 vines emerged from the ground again. Groups of Japanese players were constantly killed by the vines, and the advance army of more than 400,000 riding mounts was now less than 100,000. Although the strength difference was huge, using their abilities to kill and resist hundreds of thousands of lives still made Jiho and Hulao sweat. Jiho and Hulao began to admire this group of enemies. They sacrificed themselves, even though they knew they were no match for them. If they had such an army, they would be the most powerful and prestigious gods in the Yunling tribe. The Japanese players who arrived on foot from behind saw this situation and were about to continue to rush forward regardless of their lives, but suddenly received a message from BG William on the cross-server channel. "Your attack is too low, you can't break their barrier, ride on the colt and charge directly." Chapter 144, Divine Spirit Crystal. "Your attack is too low to break their barrier. Ride on the ponies and ram them." BG Williams' suggestion made the Japanese players' eyes light up. Yes, that's a good idea. The remaining 100,000 Japanese players turned their horses around without saying a word, took out various things from their backpacks to cover the ponies' eyes, and rushed towards the barrier. The Japanese players behind them also rode on the original ponies and followed suit, covering their eyes and charging. Although the ponies are just mounts, as mounts of the Yunling tribe, the damage caused by ramming is also higher than the attacks of Japanese players. The unbalanced Japanese players immediately became jealous of the ponies. These beasts must not be kept. Let's go offline and eat lunch with dad. The barrier has begun to tremble at this time. These ants are actually using our Yunling tribe's mounts to attack. These are hundreds of thousands of mounts. The distressed expression on his face is clear at a glance. Hulao was gloating at this moment. These 500,000 Yunling warriors were requested by Jihuo within the tribe. This time the loss was so great that even the foals were killed here. I'm afraid that Jihuo's prestige will no longer be the same as before. Fortunately, I didn't borrow them. The charge of hundreds of thousands of foals made Jihuo feel exhausted, and a lot of sweat had already seeped out of his forehead. At this time, the two gods were already frightened. This race really didn't care about their lives. They sacrificed so many people for no reason. Not to mention you. Even I didn't have the heart to kill so many enemies. Especially Jihuo. At this moment, he was anxious and hateful. The Yunling warriors he brought out were about to be eaten by the opposite side. Now he couldn't move on his side. In order to trap me, you really didn't care about your lives. The 100,000 mountains camp, which had completely reversed the situation, ranked them above the Korean server again. After seeing the feat of the Japanese server, it's true that the Japanese server is much more reliable than the Korean server. It's already amazing that you can achieve this level in your first battle. TSK, I can do it in the Korean server, but I just don't have the chance. Just pull the weeds. It's none of your business. BG William already knew the trend of the situation. The 100,000 mountains camp had won. The European server players had enough time to kill the two of them. Although most of the combat power was lost, it was enough. More than 500,000 second level players can't kill your two gods. Not to mention that there will be more combat power coming online. Hulao had already thought of retreating at this time. Although the floating grass was basically cut down, he still had the floating grass emperor in his hand and could still cultivate new floating grass. He didn't lose anything. However, Jihuo suffered heavy losses. He lost 500,000 Yunling people and still couldn't conquer the 100,000 mountains area. He would definitely lose his prestige if he returned to the Silver Fire area. Hulao saw what Ghuo was thinking, patted his shoulder and said, "Let's go." Ghuo stared at Hulao and said, "Help me." In the Yunling tribe, Ghuo and Hulao had a good relationship. At least they didn't have any intrigues. Otherwise Ghuo wouldn't have sought Hulao to invade the Shuan mountains together. It was easier to share the conquered territory with Hulao than with other sinister and cunning people, but the result was not satisfactory. Hulao sighed, "It's not worth it." Ghuo ignored Hulao. His whole body tensed, and his eyes focused. His hands glowed with grey light. Hulao had no choice but to help you this time. Put his hands together, and his hands and eyes glowed with a green light. Ghuo and Hulao slapped their hands on the ground at the same time, and the Japanese players present suddenly found that the horses under their seats were running to the same position at the same time without control. After enough Japanese players gathered together, a huge barrier appeared and surrounded the Japanese players. Countless tiny vines sprang out from the ground and continuously killed the Japanese players. Jihuo and Hulao were planning to strangle most of the creatures in front of them at once. In just a few minutes, all the Japanese players in the barrier had died. The Korean and Southeast Asian servers were surprised to see this indiscriminate and terrifying group attack skill. Is this a skill that players can resist? BG William issued an order. Quick battle. Kill all the Yunling tribes in the mountains. Jihuo's mind was to rescue 100,000 Yunling tribe warriors on the mountains and not let them all die here. Just as they were about to take action, Jihuo and Hulao suddenly found that more than 100,000 creatures were running from a distance again. They were the Japanese assassin players who were dispatched for reconnaissance before. BG William did not intend to interfere in the affairs of the Japanese server. They had performed well enough, and the remaining more than 100,000 newly added players would probably not survive alone. More than 100,000 assassin players started running and continued to rush towards the two gods of the Yunling tribe. Jihuo and Hulao looked gloomy. How could there be more? Exclamation mark. The large-scale skills just now could not be used for a while. It would be a waste of time to kill these creatures. If they were not killed, they would be stopped again. The Japanese assassins could not care so much. They killed so many people on our server. If you don't kill us, how can we face them? Question mark. In the end, Jiho chose to kill the creatures that blocked him in front of him. He rushed into the assassin group regardless of the slight attack from the opposite side. He had only one purpose, which was to rescue his fellow tribesmen on the Shuan Mountain. Jiho rushed and killed his way through the blood, and Hulao followed behind him, thinking about something. The Japanese assassins took 10 minutes and lost 1/3 of their people, but they were still forced to rush through a bloody path by Jiho. BG William looked at the two Yinling clan gods rushing over and issued an order to the European server, separate a part of the Yinling clan and let the clan leaders and overlords deal with it. The European server sent players out. I want to keep them here forever. The players on the 3 servers were shocked by the words of the European server commander. Two gods that can kill nearly 1 million Japanese players. The European server plans to kill them alone. The European players had been waiting for a long time. 100,000 European players left the battle range and rode on their mounts to rush towards Jiho and Hulao. Jiho was completely annoyed when he saw another enemy army rushing out. He decided to rush over. This group of guys was just large in number, but their strength was vulnerable. However, Hulao found something wrong the moment Jiho and the European players confronted each other. This group of troops was different from the ants just now. They quickly withdrew and stayed in the air. However, Jiho, who was full of anger, didn't care so much. He punched down with a heavy punch, but was blocked by Akala. The holy treatment behind him immediately followed up with treatment. At the moment, when Jiho was stunned, countless long-range skills came over, and tens of thousands of second-level long-range professions launched attacks. Jiho immediately felt a strong sense of crisis. If he was hit, he would die. He flashed and appeared not far away, but just as he stabilized his body, a holy sword professional slashed down with a sword. Jiho blocked it with one hand and kicked it hard. The holy sword player was kicked several meters away, but he didn't die until the last bit of health was left. Then countless long-range skills came again, and Jiho had to dodge again. In just a few seconds, he had used the flash skill twice. He didn't kill them even after this. Question mark? This group of creatures is simply not in the same league as the group just now. I definitely can't rush through. The players of the Japanese, Korean, and Southeast Asian servers looked at the 100,000 European server players in surprise. Although they knew that there was a big gap between them and the European server, they only imagined it without intuitive feeling. At this time, they finally realized how weak their own server was, not to mention that there was a Chinese server above the European server. Jiho had already consumed a huge amount of energy when facing the Japanese server before, and he no longer had much confidence to fight against this group of creatures. He had to escape. Jiho looked up and shouted to Hulao, "Retreat." Hulao, okay. Jiho was concentrating on defending against the skills coming from all directions. If he was distracted, he would lose a little blood. Hulao flashed to Jiho's side, and Jiho said, "It's very difficult for me to retreat alone. Let's attack together." Before Jiho finished speaking, a hand pierced through Jiho's heart, holding a spirit crystal in the hand. Jiho turned his head and looked at Hulao in disbelief. "You?" Hulao smiled and said, "Your spirit crystal belongs to me." Chapter 145. Beg Williams' decision. The players were stunned when they saw the sudden change. What's going on? A gangster eating a gangster? It must be two brothers fighting for the family property. Do you think this is a Korean TV series? What should we do? Keep watching? BG William narrowed his eyes and stared at Hulao. It was obvious that he trusted the other party, but the other party took advantage of his trust. What is this God Spirit Crystal? God Spirit Crystal, the essence of the power in the body of a god. The function is unknown and needs to be developed. It seems that this God Spirit Crystal is helpful to Hulao. Jiho couldn't believe it and stared at Hulao. Why? Hulao saw that the European players around him were watching the show and had no intention of taking action, so he didn't mind explaining. Only by getting your divine spirit crystal can I have the opportunity to be promoted to a holy spirit. I also want to thank you for your trust. Jiho vomited blood at this time. It seems that I was naive. I trusted you too much. Hulao agreed. No, you are not wrong to trust me. I also cherish you as a friend, but when it comes to strength, friends always come second. Jihuo, if you kill me, you can't run away. When you go back to the Silver Fire region, you can't hide it. Hulao smiled and said, why can't you hide it? Except for you and these 500,000 Yinling people. Who else knows that I helped you conquer the 10,000 mountains? Jihuo stared at Hulao, who continued, and if you die, the only Yinling people left behind you, the human race will destroy them. Raising his head, Hulao asked the European players around him, is the name correct? You are called the human race, right? The European players nearby looked at Jihuo and Hulao with complicated expressions. Although Jihuo killed many of his teammates, they suddenly felt sorry for him. Seeing that the human race ignored him, Hulao pulled his hand out of Jihuo's chest, tightly grasped the spirit crystal of the god and said, okay, I'm leaving. I hope you don't blame me, brother. Then he said to the human race, the rest of the Yinling tribe will be handed over to you. I believe you will be happy, right? After saying that, Hulao suddenly found that the human race, the local race, the overlord Holy Spirit, and the Yinling warriors on the Shuan Mountains were looking at him with hatred. The two sides who were originally fighting had stopped fighting at this moment. The Yinling tribe had already thought of breaking out after seeing their gods being killed. As long as they escaped back, they could report the current situation. However, facing the mortal enemy at this time, the other party would definitely not let them go easily. Under normal circumstances, this is indeed the case. However, players are not normal creatures. For them, this is just a game, not the real world. Moreover, the players are hostile to Hulao at this time, and they even do such disgusting things as sneak attacking their own people. No more fighting. Hulao found that all the creatures who stopped showed a trace of anger. BG William walked over slowly at this time. The human race will no longer kill the Yinling creatures. Your idea has failed. Hulao. Oh. Why? You have lost a lot of lives at their hands. BG William, compared to sacrifice, we hate being calculated more. Besides, remember, you can't take away a living life. As soon as the voice fell, the surrounding European server players attacked Hulao very quickly. The previous battle with the Yinling tribe was just a playful one, but this time they attacked Hulao with real anger. Hulao knew that he would only die if he faced this powerful race alone. He kept dodging away from the human race and said to BG William, you are a high-ranking member of the human race, right? We can form an alliance. BG William ignored Hulao, squatted down and looked at Jihuo, whose chest and mouth were constantly bleeding, and asked softly, how long can you hold on? Jihuo asked an irrelevant question. Let the Yinling creatures go, please. BG William, I promise you. Answer me, how long can you hold on? Jihuo, it's useless. Without the spirit crystal, even a god will die. Tell me, how long? Jihuo, you want to save me? Yes. It's ridiculous. The people of the tribe I trust the most want to kill me, but my blood feud with them wants to save me. Answer me, or you'll really die. Don't worry, not so fast. I can still hold on for half a day. Enough. BG Williams said to the European server players, protect the creatures of the Yinling tribe. If this beast dares to attack, then keep him. Hulao said, you hand over Jihuo to me, kill the Yinling tribe here, and I can give you the floating grass king. BG William helped Jihuo up and said to Hulao with a gloomy face, first of all, wolves eat meat, not shit. Secondly, wolves follow the wolf king, not dogs. No mistakes in one sentence, one post, one content, 1619, one book, one bar. After speaking, a crack appeared next to BG William. BG William was stunned when he saw the sudden crack. What's going on? It's such a coincidence that a crack refreshed next to me. Bai Bing has been observing the battles on both sides of the extremely cold area in the 100,000 mountains area. Bai Bing also hates what Hulao did. Since the European server commander intends to save Jihuo, I will help you once, but you still have to pay the soul value of the crack for 2 people. BG William remembered that the Chinese server commander had a god level who could revive creatures that died in a short period of time. I don't know if Jihuo, who lost the god spirit crystal, can be saved. Seeing Jihuo disappear, Hulao sighed, Forget it. Anyway, he couldn't survive without the spirit crystal. As for the surviving Yinling tribe, it didn't matter. As long as he was promoted to the Holy Spirit, the Silver Fire region would be his. After Huliro left, the Yinling tribe looked at the creatures around with a vigilant look. Halpak was a well-known Dharma god in the European server, with the ID eagle eating mustard. Generally, when BG William was not around, he could temporarily make some small decisions. Halpak said to the many Yinling creatures, "You can leave at any time, we won't stop you, but I hope you won't invade the Shuan mountain region after you go back." The Yinling creatures did not respond, and they went down the mountain slowly with caution. They lost their foals and limped away towards the direction of the Silver Fire region. The players present muttered, "Why bother?" BG Williams supported Jeho at this time, and returned to Jiushan Zuandu through the crack. He was just about to go to the teleportation array to the extremely cold region. The commander of the Chinese server was there. A hand pressed on BG Williams' shoulder, and the latter turned around in confusion. It was Fukai. As soon as Jeho arrived at Jiushan Zuandu, Fukai felt the breath of the gods. Liang Ting's task for him was to prevent accidents. She told him that there was a god enemy in the human race who was coveting them, and Fukai needed to help defend Jiushan Zuandu. Fukai said, "So it's you. You did a good job. I just watched your live broadcast. I admire you." BG William was speechless. "Senior, can you still watch the live broadcast?" Fukai raised the virtual screen. "Why not? It's just a little soul value. I can borrow it." Jeho and Fukai looked at each other. As gods, Jeho knew that even in his prime, he was no match for Fukai. BG William asked, "Why are you still in the main city? Now the human race is facing a great enemy invasion. You should help." Fukai, "I'm helping. There is a divine evil spirit coveting this place. I have to defend this place. When this guy first came, I thought it was the enemy. I was excited for a while." BG William, "I see. Then I will leave first." BG William just raised his foot when Fukai suddenly said, "Do you know that a god who has lost his divine crystal cannot be saved?" Chapter 146, about to break the seal. Jeho didn't react to Fukai's words. This was the consensus of the gods. Losing the spirit crystal was almost equivalent to declaring death. BG William was a little skeptical at this time. The two gods came to this conclusion. Could the resurrection god level commanded by the Chinese server successfully revive this situation? Is there no way to save his life? BG William asked. Fukai thought for a while and said, "It's not that there is no way at all." BG William and Jeho looked at Fukai, who said, "If I can get the spirit crystal of another god, I can attach the spirit crystal to his body, so I should be able to save him." BG William was astonished. "Is there such a thing?" Jeho said helplessly, "What you said is indeed a way, but where can you get a spirit crystal, and why do you want to help me?" Fukai, "Of course it's not free. I help you. You have to give me soul value." Jeho, "What is soul value?" BG William was puzzled. "Senior, what do you want the soul points for?" Fukai gritted his teeth. "Of course it is useful. I saw that it takes a lot of soul points to give rewards to live broadcasts. The human race guys are all very stingy. They are reluctant to borrow them." BG William was speechless. "Of course they are reluctant. The soul points you borrowed are like throwing meat buns at a dog. There is no return. Then where can we find a hostile god?" BG William asked. Jeho also looked at Fukai, who said, "Well, I can't do anything about this. Ha ha ha." BG William, "Jeho, what you said is the same as saying nothing." Fukai explained, "The gods are very careful about their lives. It's easy to defeat them, but it's hard to kill them. Once they find something wrong, they will run away immediately, so it's really hard." BG William, "Didn't the senior just say that there is a god and evil spirit coveting the main city of Jiushan Zuandu? Can we ambush him?" Fukai nodded. "That's a way, but I don't know if he will show up." BG William, "Let's leave it to fate." Jeho was so weak that he couldn't move normally at this time, but when he saw that the enemy he was fighting just now actually chose to ambush another god in order to save himself, he felt mixed emotions. Just as the three were silent, a silent pressure swept over. BG William didn't feel anything, but Fukai and Jeho trembled immediately. The two gods immediately turned their heads to look to the north, which was the direction of the extremely cold region. How could there be such a powerful majesty? This pressure made the two feel fear from the bottom of their hearts. What happened over there? On Shura Island, far away in the sea area south of Jiushan Zuandu, Blood Shura Mingjia was sleeping in a cave with his eyes closed. Suddenly, he felt an invisible pressure coming. He opened his eyes and remained silent for a long time. What happened in the direction of the human race? Yi Jian saw blood dripping down from above, and the yellow talisman was slowly contaminated by the blood drops. He couldn't delay any longer and had to escape. Ji also felt that the seal continued to weaken. He stared at Yi Jian and said hoarsely, "You can't run away." Yi Jian immediately activated the return scroll. Since he couldn't delay any longer, he would join the main force. The sudden disappearance of Yi Jian surprised Ji a little. This ant can actually use the power of space. Interesting. It seems that the human race will be sliced and studied at that time. After Yi Jian teleported back to the main city, he immediately saw Fukai, BG William, and a weakened unknown god. He stepped forward and asked, "Brother Vegeta, how is the war in the 10,000 mountains going?" "BG William, we have solved it in the European server. This is their god." Yi Jian looked at the weak Jiho strangely. Jiho was speechless and embarrassed. He felt like a trophy being looked at by the other party. Yi Jian raised his thumb. "Awesome, you actually captured the boss on the opposite side. It's really awesome." BG William asked, "What's the situation in the extremely cold area?" Yi Jian shook his head. "There is no way. The Holy Spirit is about to break the seal." Yi Jian told BG William the cause and effect of the extremely cold area. Fukai and Jiho stared at Yi Jian with wide eyes. Fukai grabbed Yi Jian and asked hurriedly, "Holy Spirit? Say it again." "There is a Holy Spirit in the extremely cold area that is about to break the seal." Yi Jian nodded. "Don't worry, big brother Fukai, we don't need you this time. You just need to defend in the main city. We are afraid that the Blood Shura will suddenly come to cause trouble." Fukai wanted to strangle Yi Jian at this moment. "I can't say that you were so weak before and provoked the Xingpeng tribe for yourself. After all, you were saving me. Later, when you became stronger, you provoked the overlord level Earth Lizard tribe. I also injured it. After all, 10 gods came to support you. How long has it been now?" Exclamation mark. "You dare to provoke the Holy Spirit? Question mark. You don't want to die, right? You don't need me to go? I won't go, even if you ask me to go." Compared with Fukai's habit of the human race, Jiho was already confused. Holy Spirit? Is that something that normal creatures would provoke? No mistakes. One post, one content, one book, one bar, 1619, one book, one bar, one look. I originally thought that the human race was the only one that could resist the Yinling race. But it turned out that only a part of the human race was there. The rest of the human race actually went to provoke the terrifying Holy Spirit. What kind of creatures did I just fight with? Fukai was annoyed and continued, "Xingpeng tribe, very good. We didn't bother them, but they actually provoke us in return. It seems that they can't stay." Yi Jian, "Don't, big brother. We have already crippled them on the front line, and our commander has also formed an alliance with the Xingpeng tribe. Now they are our allies." Fukai, "How can you form an alliance with them? How could they form an alliance with the human race?" Yi Jian, "Didn't I just say that? We crippled them." Fukai, "Then how do I settle the old accounts with the Xingpeng tribe?" Yi Jian comforted him in a friendly manner. "When will the revenge be over? Let the past be the past, big brother. People should look at money. Otherwise, we will give you some soul points, and you can just let it go." Fukai was silent for a while. He asked back, "How much?" Yi Jian, "No matter how much God gives. Where are your principles?" Yi Jian said, "I won't talk to you anymore. I'm going to the extremely cold region. Remember, if there is an invasion by evil spirits, you help us block them." Fukai looked reluctant, and BG William said, "You go first. After our European server is reorganized, we will go to the extremely cold region to support you." Yi Jian patted BG William on the shoulder. "Thanks, brother. See you later." Watching Yi Jian disappear in the teleportation array, GHUO asked weakly, "The human race that just fought with us, wasn't it your full strength?" Before Beji William could answer, Fukai said first, "Of course not. If the human race in this main city went to fight you, they would probably have reached your doorstep by now." GHUO didn't speak, but his expression was obviously unconvinced. Fukai smiled and said, "Little brother, you need to know that in addition to me, a god, there are 10 other gods of the human race who have not yet appeared, and each of them is stronger than me." GHUO looked at Fukai in surprise. "You know, there are not even 10 gods in the Silver Fire region." He turned to look at Beji William to get confirmation. Beji William nodded. "Really, we are only the second echelon of the human race. The first echelon has defeated a group of overlords numbering 100,000 before, not to mention that we don't know how powerful we have grown to now." Jiho looked up at the sky, thinking how idle he was, provoking such a powerful race for no reason. Haha. Chapter 147, All Those Who Broke the Seal. In the extremely cold area, Yi Jian walked out of the teleportation array, stood at Long Jiu's ice sculpture for a while, sighed, and said to himself, "Senior Long Jiu, the camp may not be able to be preserved this time. I hope you don't blame me." After that, he walked steadily to Liangting. Peng Xin was standing beside Liangting at this time, shivering all over in the direction of the Great Rift Valley. Liangting glanced at Yi Jian and continued to say to Peng Xin, "Chief Peng Xin, the Crossing Peng tribe should leave as soon as possible for the next battle." Peng Xin nodded. As the head of a tribe, he was very self-aware. He knew that the human race was facing the Holy Spirit creatures at this time, and the warriors of his own race could not form an effective combat force at this time. Leaving was the best option. Moreover, he had just formed an alliance with the human race and had to face this crisis with them. Even if Liangting didn't speak, Peng Xin would find an excuse to leave. The players of the national server ignored the Crossing Peng tribe members on the opposite side and meditated on the spot to recover. It's time for the main course. Brothers, get serious. I have to log off to eat later. Actually, it's good to have a big boss. At least we don't have to be chased by those grandsons from other servers like dogs. Brother, why are you insulting dogs? Good fellow, what you said hurts the enemy by 1,000, and you hurt yourself by 12,000. Peng Xin was organizing his tribe to evacuate. Seeing that the human race, who had experienced a war, was not afraid of the Holy Spirit that was about to break the seal, he was secretly surprised. It seemed that the Xingpeng tribe did not have the strength to fight against the human race. At least the human race was too tough in mentality. After the Xingpeng tribe left, Liangting ordered on the command channel, "After the Holy Spirit breaks the seal, all players should not act rashly. It would be best if he chooses to leave." As soon as the voice fell, an arm full of corpse spots and skinny stretched out from the crack, and the weak G slowly crawled out. When he saw that the scenery was full of human race everywhere, G calmly picked up a ground lizard and ate it. G shivered as he ate the body. No player thought that this inconspicuous thin old man was shivering because of the cold, because the players all recognized the information of the evil spirit in front of them. G. Corpse creatures, divine creatures, the realm has fallen to the early stage of the Holy Spirit. The reason why G shivered was entirely because he had been sealed for who knows how many years and finally saw freedom again. Liangting saw that G's strength had fallen to the early stage of the Holy Spirit. Although she didn't know what the strength of the early stage of the Holy Spirit was, the millions of second level players in the national server on the field should be able to withstand it and fight. G saw the hostility of the human race towards him and threw away the half-eaten ground lizard and slowly exuded a dark green mist from his body. The national server players closest to G immediately found that their blood volume dropped bit by bit when they came into contact with the mist and hurriedly retreated. G slowly moved towards the direction where the human race was dense, muttering as he walked, "Such a large number of creatures, all become my slaves." As G moved, the mist also moved, and the national server players also retreated step by step. Liangting found that the fog around G was very damaging. Except for the 3 professions of Akala, Holy Sword, and Armor, the other professions could not withstand it for more than a minute. She immediately ordered the Akala at the front should activate full status and go forward to resist the evil spirits. The Dharma will add status and blood to the front row. Shadow Killer should not go forward yet. The other professions should perform their duties. The acolyte closest to G immediately activated full status and rushed into the fog. The status bonus of the Dharma followed, and countless long-range profession skills also hit G. G lightly grabbed and killed the human in front in an instant. Then he was subjected to endless skills, but the blood volume displayed on his head was only occasionally -1, -1. What the hell? A fully stated tank was killed in one grab? Why did we only deduct 1 drop of health after dealing so much damage? The level difference is too big. I guess it takes a second level professional ceiling to deal a little health. The damage dealt by other second level players is probably not enough to scratch him. How can we fight this? This health bar won't be exhausted until next spring festival. Compared to the player's surprise and helplessness, G showed a puzzled expression. Due to the characteristics of his poison, anyone who died after being infected by the mist would become his puppet. However, why did this group of humans disappear directly after dying in his mist? The reason why the Corpse Clan was able to stand firm despite killing so many races and being hostile to countless races is largely because the infection characteristics of the Corpse Clan can revive the dead into puppets and make the puppets fight for themselves. That is why, although G knew that his realm had fallen to the early stage of the Holy Spirit, as long as he was given enough living beings, the corpse gas fed back after killing them could completely improve his strength in a short period of time. So after seeing such a large group of human race, G was moved. I want to turn all human race into corpses. G, this unsolvable fog and attack defense made Liang Ting helpless. In the face of absolute strength, any tactics and tricks are useless. The players of the national server are experienced servers that have fought many battles. Seeing this situation, they already know that the national server cannot resist. It's so abnormal in the early stage of the Holy Spirit. What will happen when G recovers to the realm of God? Liang Ting, all second turn sealing players, including Holy Healing and Shadow Killing, directly output. G felt that his corpse key was constantly being consumed by the human race. Although the amount was not much, it was enough to make him irritable. Every human creature killed did not feed back a trace of corpse key, which was simply useless. At this time, the offensive of the nearest human race attacked again. This time the attack was not as intensive as before, but it actually caused damage to himself. No mistakes. 1 song, 1 post, 1 content, 1 book, 1 bar, 1 6, 1 9, 1 book, 1 bar, 1 look. The players of the national server found that this attack had knocked down hundreds of health points of G. Although the health bar did not seem to change, it was enough to give the players of the national server hope. Liang Ting thought, since there is no way to break your defense, then use the health points. Attack in batches. Don't stand too close. Don't stand in the fog. If the health points or mana of the players in front can't hold up, retreat, and the players behind will make up and fight and retreat. G had just broken the seal, and his strength was greatly reduced. Although he was annoyed with the human race in front of him, he was reluctant to use his trump card. This group of creatures who died and could not be enslaved by him were not worth his big fight. The game between the national server and G had just begun. Players were killed by G's poisonous fog in batches, but those who died were the second level ceiling players who were holding off the evil spirits in front. And G's health points were also worn down bit by the players. When G found that his health points had obviously decreased, he thought, a smart race, and not afraid of sacrifice. Have all the races in the world of creatures grown to this point now? I underestimated you before. It seems that you humans are qualified to let me use my abilities. I hope you won't be too desperate. Gently raised both hands and pointed two index fingers in any 2 directions. The national players saw the action and became alert. Liang Ting stared at the 2 directions pointed by G. Suddenly, 2 clouds of poisonous fog burst out at the same time. The poisonous fog quickly dispersed, and the national players nearby were collectively poisoned, and their health dropped. After the 2 clouds of poisonous fog exploded, G continued to point to 2 other different directions, and then 2 more clouds of poisonous fog burst out. G kept changing the direction with his fingers, and countless clouds of poisonous fog exploded one after another. Liang Ting's face darkened when she saw this situation. Fuck, The health is dropping too fast. Hank Seo Ban Budian. Kiri Han Bao-san. You are still joking? Run away. I just ran out of the poison circle and was bombed again. Didn't they say that 2 shells will not hit the same pit? It's your pit that is being bombed. Okay. Chapter 148 Emperor Fengdu. Ji's indiscriminate attack has blown up the camps of millions of national players, and countless national players have turned into light spots and disappeared in the extremely cold area. Looking at the creatures that have been reduced by 1/5, Ji still can't feel any feedback from the corpse key. He has a gloomy face and is about to leave. Now he is in urgent need of the nourishment of corpse key. However, Liangting had to keep Ji when she saw how horrified he was. To the south of the extremely cold area is the main city and sea area of the human race, where the Kra tribe and other weak races live, and the descendants of the Azure Dragon and the Snowman tribe are migrating there at this time. To the north is the Weathered Continent, where there are the grudges of the Scorpion tribe, the Red Fox tribe that has never met, and the Xingpeng tribe that has just formed an alliance and is seriously injured. Although the east and west have not been developed by the national server, they are also close to the 10,000 mountains in the underworld. Countless races and overlord creatures that are friendly with the human race live there, and he cannot be allowed to leave rashly. Liangting told the Chinese players in the campaign command channel that they must not let Ji leave no matter what, and at the same time requested the European servers to quickly support the extremely cold region in the event channel. They could not defeat him with hard power, so they could only grind him down bit by bit. They couldn't kill him, and driving him away couldn't guarantee that he wouldn't start killing in the nearby area. Liangting racked her brains to think of a solution. Yi Jian asked at this time, can your command system send the 10 Yamas from the 18 hells to reinforce? Liangting, yes, but I don't want to send them out unless necessary. After all, the Yamas are just gods. I don't know if they will die in the face of the Holy Spirit. They are not our players and can be resurrected. Yi Jian continued to ask, what about Zhu Beiji who broke the seal in the European server? He is also a Holy Spirit. Liangting shook her head. There is no way to contact him. Can't that old monk summon Ksitagarbha Bodhisattva? Yi Jian was unwilling to give up. I just asked. His Bodhisattva post can only learn skills and change jobs. It can't transmit sound. Yi Jian clenched his fists and didn't know what to do. Liangting suddenly asked, you are under the crack. Have you identified those talismans? Do you know what they are? Yi Jian took out a yellow talisman stained with blood from his backpack and handed it to Liangting. Look for yourself. Demon suppressing talisman. One of the highest Taoist talismans. It can suppress evil spirits. Liangting thought, Taoist talismans are the product of our China, but Planet has been open for so long in the national server, and no Taoist NPC has been encountered. It seems that these things are useless. At this time, the situation on the field is already very unfavorable to the national server. In the past, it has always been through human seed tactics and disgusting self-destructive gamma play, and it has been invincible in battles. However, at this moment, all of the skills are indiscriminate bombing, and very few national server players can resist. The number of national server players has decreased sharply at this time. The players are uncomfortable, and all of them are not feeling well. The original realm has fallen sharply, and they have consumed a huge amount of corpse key to kill the human race. At this time, all of them have already begun to think about leaving. Just when the two sides were deadlocked, 10 gods arrived at the extremely cold area through the teleportation array. The Chinese players looked at the 10 Yamas, and they were not too surprised. They were even worried that the 10 Yamas would be killed by Ji. Ji saw the 10 Yamas present and thought for a long time whether to strangle them. Ji, who was in the early stage of the Holy Spirit, had the strength to strangle them, but the combat power of the 10 gods at the peak would require him to pay a great deal of corpse energy. While Ji was thinking, the 10 Yamas stood together and condensed the merits that soared into the sky. 10 light golden merits gradually merged above the extremely cold area, and a vague figure gradually took shape. The Chinese players and Ji present could see a huge human figure with eyes closed and very majestic. The Chinese players identified the figure almost at the same time. Fengdu Emperor, projected incarnation, Zongshan Biji the emperor incarnation of the Nether world. Fuck. The king of Fengdu is out? I'm more excited to play a game than to watch a Hollywood movie. I'm more excited to play a game than to watch a romantic action movie. I'm playing a game. Are there any resources upstairs? Damn, the situation has finally changed. As long as you look good, you can be a groom every day. The players of the national server found that the situation had taken a turn for the better. The suicidal personality once again occupied the brain high ground. Are you kidding? Do the national servers give up easily? This is our Chinese game. The corpse clan should not exist in this world. The figure said dully. G stared at the figure. You are so arrogant. Although my strength has dropped greatly, it is not something that a projection of yours can do. The figure was silent for a while, and then said, you are right. A projection, can't really kill you, but I can still suppress you. After that, many yellow talismans flew out of the Great Rift Valley, and the talismans in Yi Jian's backpack also appeared out of thin air, and flew towards G. Hundreds of talismans that were originally stained with blood had now become brand new. G's face changed drastically after seeing the familiar talismans, and he immediately turned around and ran away. Liang Ting reacted and immediately ordered, stop him. No mistake. 1 post, 1 content, 1619, 1 book, 1 bar. Without Liang Ting's order, many nearby players had already rushed towards G regardless of everything. It didn't matter if they died, but they had to avenge the ravages for so long. G kept hitting the nearby human race that was besieging him. The yellow talismans behind him flew closer and closer. Under G's desperate gaze, one yellow talisman after another covered G's body. No. G finally screamed in despair. The spell naturally generated tiny lightning bolts that continuously shocked G, and the familiar pain made G struggle constantly. No. I don't want to be sealed again. Kill me. Please kill me. I don't dare. I really don't dare. Please let me go. Hahaha. I'm one of the 9 gods of the Corpse Clan. I'm immortal. The Corpse Clan will not let you go. Hahaha. You are also a Taoist. King Niu is also a Taoist. I use my divinity to curse you Taoists. Ash. Fly. Smoke. Destroy. G begged to let him go, and begged to kill him. The Chinese players listened to his incoherent words. This game is getting more and more wrong. Why do you have to make a CG so realistic? Dozens of tree roots stretched out from the bottom of the Rift Valley and entangled G, slowly dragging him back to the abyss. G, who was covered with talismans, was electrocuted and couldn't even speak. He could only struggle slightly in despair. Liang Ting bowed to the projection of the Emperor of Fengdu. Thank you for your help, senior. The projection did not respond, and did not even open its eyes, and gradually dissipated into the air. After the projection of the Emperor of Fengdu dissipated, the Tenyamas also became extremely weak. King Qinguang said to the human race, we have used all our merits to summon the incarnation of the Emperor of Fengdu to come. We have to stay in the underworld for a short time. Liang Ting nodded, and watching the Yamas gradually disappear, the Chinese players breathed a sigh of relief. This battle was not like a battle at all. It was just like the game officials came on the field to pick up the leaks after being ravaged. We Chinese players had nothing to do with it at all. In another area far away from the extremely cold area, in a dark stone cave, an old woman covered in linen was sleeping. Suddenly she opened her eyes and looked in one direction. This is the breath of Lao Wu. I finally found you. Chapter 149 Fukian Mingjia. Just as the national server players were relieved, an inconspicuous grey space vortex appeared among the crowd. A thin hand stretched out, and then a barefoot old creature came out, with sparse hair, wrinkled skin, and teeth that were about to fall out. However, the players saw this creature as if they were facing a formidable enemy, because the old man was covered with familiar corpse spots, and there was an ID lie staring at his head. Liang Ting immediately identified the creature's information after seeing it. Lai, a Corpse Clan god creature, ranked according to Lin Bingdao Zheg Zen Lion Zakayan, the 7th seat of the 9 gods. The national server players present felt their scalps tingling. They just sent out the projection of Fengdu Emperor to deal with the Holy Spirit, and now you directly sent me a god? Question mark? What are you doing? Question mark? After beating the younger ones, you're here for the older ones? The game officials think that we are having too much fun on the Chinese server, right? Save me, save me. Is the guy upstairs crazy from playing PUBG? It's time to show how you've been abused. Are you telling a crosstalk here? Take it seriously. I'm tired. Lai ignored the vast number of creatures around him, turned his head to look at the Great Rift Valley, and walked towards the direction of the Rift Valley step by step. The players present once again showed their suicidal spirit. Liang Ting hadn't given the order yet, and many players had thrown a bunch of skills at Lai. There was no damage on Lai's head throughout the whole process, and the players' attacks couldn't even break Lai's defense. Lai stopped and looked at the group of creatures in confusion. They were so brave that they had the courage to fight against the gods, and their expression was calm. A faint grey light emanated from Lai's body, and the players suddenly found that dense skeletons emerged from the snow. There were various creature skeletons of various levels, and the highest ones were actually 3 unknown creature skeletons of the god level. After summoning his servants, Lai turned around and continued to walk towards the Great Rift Valley. Standing on the edge, Lai looked at the abyss under the Rift Valley, feeling the breath of the Rift Valley, and smiled. Old 5, you really bring shame to our race. After saying that, he jumped down. In the Jiushan Zuandu area, in the main city of the national server, BG Williams saw Fukai and GHUO shaking uncontrollably, and the two looked towards the north with deep fear in their eyes. What on earth is happening in the north? This is definitely not the majesty that the Holy Spirit can emit. Fukai gritted his teeth and trembled. GHUO felt that he had never seen such a terrifying aura. It seems that following the human race to the main city this time is also a great experience. Since the players cannot feel the majestic aura, BG William naturally does not know how terrifying the extremely cold area is. He just thinks that the Chinese server has done something weird again, and even the two gods have such expressions. Except for the national server, players from other servers all returned and logged off after participating in the battle in the 10,000 mountains. It was mealtime, and eating was the most important thing. Nothing was more important than eating. Just as Fukai and Jihuo were feeling the breath coming from the direction of the extremely cold region, a breath of the same level approached rapidly from the south. Mingjia had a bold idea. After feeling the breath of the Holy Spirit, this Holy Spirit appeared in the direction of the human race. He didn't know what happened, so he could only find out. If the Holy Spirit and the human race were on good terms, he would not feel the breath of battle on his way there, so he would turn back halfway. If he felt a battle, it proved that the Holy Spirit and the human race had already fought, so he went over to see if there was an opportunity. As a blood surer, Mingjia's thirst for blood was extremely persistent. Even if he died, he could not resist the temptation of high-level blood, and the opponent was at the Holy Spirit level. On the way, Mingjia smelled the smell of war. Very good. If they fight, the human race will definitely not be able to defeat the Holy Spirit. Mingjia just hopes that the Holy Spirit may leave a trace of blood after the battle. As long as he can get a trace of the Holy Spirit's blood, not to mention that his old injuries can be cured, he may even be able to reach the peak of the gods. Just after arriving near Jiushan Zuandu, Mingjia saw a god of the same level stopping in front of him. This god was Fukai. Fukai felt a bloody breath of the same level. It was probably the enemy that the human race asked him to be on guard against. Mingjia felt that the other party was not very friendly, and his strength had reached the peak of the gods. Even in his heyday, he was only a high-level god. What's more, he only has the strength of the initial stage now. He is not an opponent. Who are you? Mingjia asked vigilantly. Fukai saw that the other party only had the strength of an initial god, and his vigilance immediately dissipated. Are you the so-called blood surer? Fukai asked. Mingjia did not answer how the other party knew his name. Fukai, I thought it was some big enemy, but it turned out to be just an injured and low-level divine being. Now that you're here, don't leave. After saying that, a breath suddenly burst out. Mingjia felt the pressure of Fukai's breath and turned to flee without hesitation. No mistakes. Fukai quickly followed. An early divine being wanted to escape from the hands of a peak divine being. Do I still have face? If the human race knew about this, they would definitely complain about me. Mingjia knew that if the other party stared at him, he would not be able to escape. While running away desperately, he shouted, "What grudge do I have against you? Why did you attack me?" Fukai smiled and said, "I want your spirit crystal. Are you satisfied with this answer? Mingjie, I'm already a peak divine being. My spirit crystal is useless to you." Fukai did not answer, and the speed of the attack increased again. In a very short time, the two gods had arrived above the southern sea. Mingjie was so focused on Fukai that he was not prepared for anything around him. Suddenly, a water spout rolled up on the sea and rushed towards Mingjie. Mingjie suddenly remembered that there was a tyrant level ant in this sea area that had a grudge against him. He had never taken it seriously before, but he didn't expect it to come out to make trouble at the critical moment. As a god level Mingjie, he planned to strangle the overlord of this sea area, Jingshan, after breaking the seal. However, Jingshan lived in the seabed, and even a god level person could not do anything about it. After all, he was not good at fighting in the seabed. Jingshan has not emerged from the seabed since Mingjie broke the seal. He is always paying attention to the slightest movement on the sea surface. He is afraid of being sought for revenge. After all, Zushiro was sealed by himself and others. It is already a mortal enemy. Once the other party finds out, they will definitely fight to the death. Jingshan saw the scene at this time and knew with his ass that Mingjie was being hunted down. Are you kidding? When else would he not trick him? Exclamation mark. It has to be said that after Jingshan had more contact with the human race, the originally honest overlord has slowly turned into a sinister person. Water spout is Jingshan's most powerful skill. If it is an ordinary skill, Mingjie can withstand the attack and continue to escape. However, Mingjie is very likely to dodge the water spout skill. After all, this is his only skill that can cause damage to Mingjie, although the damage to him is not great. However, Mingjie made a move that surprised Jingshan. After discovering the water spout, he actually planned to withstand it. As a bloodsurer who is good at fighting, Mingjie knows that once he dodges, he will be caught up by the enemy behind him. Once he is close, he will only die. After resisting the water spout, Mingjie had a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. Fukai, who was chasing behind, praised, "It's the right choice, but you still can't escape." Chapter 150 column. In 10 minutes, Fukai and Mingjie chased and fled across two seas. The dominant creatures in the second sea felt the aura of the gods in the sky and dared not show up under the sea for fear of being affected. Fukai was already infinitely close to the opponent at this time. He grinned and condensed a blood arrow in his hand and shot it at the bloodsurer. Mingjie felt a huge threat behind him, and without saying a word, he leaned his body to barely avoid the blood arrow. The rapid blood arrow cut a deep wound on Mingjie's shoulder that could be seen to the bone. Fukai predicted Mingjie's evasion the moment the blood arrow was shot out and appeared in the direction where Mingjie leaned and made a claw-like attack with his hand to hit the opponent's head. Mingjie crossed his hands to protect his head, and the claw attack broke his hand directly. The strong inertia made Mingjie fall to the sea. Gritting his teeth, he looked at Fukai. Just from the attack just now, Mingjie had already felt that the opponent was also a battle-hardened god and was extremely good at fighting. Fukai licked the blood on his hand. It tastes terrible. Mingjie's left hand, which was used to block the attack, had lost all feeling. Now he was thinking about how to escape. The injury on his hand was no longer important. Are you planning to completely make enemies with us, bloodsurer? Mingjie struggled for the last time. Fukai was unmoved. You talk too much. After that, he suddenly rushed forward. Mingjie used his remaining right hand to condense a blood ball and threw it at Fukai. The latter directly used his claws to forcibly penetrate the gradually growing blood ball and grabbed Mingjie's right hand. In Mingjie's stunned expression, Fukai directly tore his right hand off alive. Mingjie screamed and retreated quickly, covering his empty right shoulder. Just as he was about to beg for mercy, Fukai suddenly flashed behind him, and his claws directly penetrated Mingjie's chest, holding a divine spirit crystal with an extremely pungent bloody smell. It's over. Fukai pulled his hand out, as if he had done something insignificant. Mingjie, who lost his spirit crystal, instantly lost his divine power, and sank silently to the bottom of the sea. He was not completely dead yet, but he stared at Fukai unwillingly. Fukai ignored the dying man and said to himself, "Come out, you have been following me all the way." As soon as he finished speaking, a huge splash of water exploded from the sea surface, and Jingshan appeared on the sea surface, holding Mingjia's body in his mouth. Under Mingjia's desperate expression, Jingshan swallowed him directly into his stomach. Fukai saw this scene and said, "He won't live long after losing his spirit crystal. Why are you so cautious?" Jingshan said, "The human race often says to be prepared for an emergency, and it is not without reason. Fukai, you are not the overlord of this sea area. If you rashly enter, it is equivalent to declaring war on this sea area. Jingshan, the overlord of this sea area is no match for me, and with you here, the overlord of this sea area will not come out." Fukai was speechless, and finally said, "In the future, don't mess around with the human race so much, don't always learn their tricks." After that, he directly activated the return scroll borrowed from the player. In the extremely cold region, the players of the national server were fighting with the skeletons. After being abused by G for so long, the players had been holding back a lot of resentment in their hearts. "I can't beat Lai, I can't beat G, so why can't I beat you?" There were only 100,000 skeletons on the field, and most of them were only at the middle level of creatures. There were less than 100 high level creatures, and only 3 at the god level. The movements were clumsy, and they had no IQ. The players vented their resentment at them. "Don't say you are skeletons. Even if you were here in your lifetime, I would still beat you to pieces." At this time, except for Liangting and a few great players in the national server, the rest of the players almost didn't consider the situation below the Great Rift Valley. Anyway, they couldn't beat them, so they just went through the process. It was just a game. At the bottom of the Rift Valley, Lai saw G, who was tied up and covered with talismans like a mummy, and said, "Old 5, it seems that you still don't learn your lesson after all these years." Although G couldn't see, he could feel the familiar breath in front of him. After hearing Lai's voice, G couldn't speak. Lai walked forward and removed the talisman from G's mouth. Feeling the electric shock from the talisman, Lai raised his eyebrows, and the talisman in his hand instantly turned into ashes. G immediately said, "Let me out, I want to eat those humans alive." Lai shook his head and said, "After I let you out, you will go back to the corpse clan with me. Since they have the means to seal you, they have the potential to pose a threat to you." G said, "Help me slaughter them." Lai still shook his head. "No, the corpse aura on me is too heavy. The Chiang clan can smell my location at any time. If I kill again, I will not be able to hide from them." "G, then you don't have to do it. I can slaughter them alone. You just need to protect me." Lai pondered for a while and finally nodded. "Okay." Lai hurriedly tore off the talismans on G's body one by one, muttering, "Your strength has dropped too much. You can't recover in a short time." After unsealing G, he moved his hands and feet. "You are still the same as before, so cautious that it makes me sick." Lai did not respond. "I can't stay in the same place for too long. The Chiang clan is chasing me all the time. You must come with me before dark." G did not answer to express his agreement. The Chinese server players killed the skeletons in the extremely cold region without much effort. What surprised the players was that they could gain experience and honor points by killing skeletons. How do you think we will be abused later? It doesn't matter what the method is. The most important thing is to look cool when you die. Are we sure we don't want to resist? The opponent is a god level boss. You will die if you resist. Why not just die comfortably? The dog officials are really getting more and more inhuman. Forget it, we are all dying. Let's not think too much. Let's die quickly and go a-flying to eat. I think we still have to struggle a little, otherwise our commander will be hurt mentally. That makes sense. When Lai appeared on the Great Rift Valley, Lai looked up at the skeleton of the evil dragon in the extremely cold region. The skeleton of the evil dragon at the Holy Spirit level. He really wanted to get it. The Chiang tribe was chasing too closely, and he couldn't stay for too long. He really wanted to refine this skeleton. Unlike Lai, G first stared at the human race after coming up. However, what surprised him was that many of the countless human races in front of him were sitting on the ground without any desire to fight, and a few of them raised their weapons to defend themselves and prepare for war. G could see that, unlike before, The human race at this time had no intention of fighting and looked like they were waiting to die. But what surprised G was that, even if they were waiting to die, the human race did not show any fear. G could not bear to slaughter this interesting race at this moment. Now he wanted to recover this group of fearless races. Seeing G and lie thinking and motionless, the national server players could not wait any longer. What are you doing? Why don't you do it? We really need to log off and eat. The players who couldn't stand it any longer raised their weapons at the same time and charged at the two enemies, jogging and throwing skills casually, saying weakly, go for it. Kill him, kill him. Can I die first? My whole family is waiting for me. Line up. Can you have some manners? You can go offline. Do you think I don't want to? After participating in the battle, I will lose honor points if I go offline during the period. What are you eating on New Year's Eve? End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.